This fall, Bill Cosby returns to television with something new, own unique style.
You gonna be in there long?
Norton Furniture is here for you. Now, seriously, if you can't get credit in my store, you can't get credit anywhere. My name is Mark, and you can count on it.
540, join.
Join the fun. All have some.
Blow it up now, give it a whack. Turn up the fun with Balzac. Hit it.
Hello. I am sorry, but I must interrupt this show.
Later, you know what it is. Hey, Ham Solo. It's time, baby. Low. It's turn out we do. Hey.
They said we said we in. They said we said we on. They said we said we strong. They said we said we gone. We say that you heard right. 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 They said we said we in. They said we said we on. They said we said strong. They said we said go. We say that you heard right. 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 Man, I swear that it's imminent. I've been going so hard on my penmanship. About to go in and buy me a whip. And I pull that shit fresh off the dealership. I can leave you on red like an Xbox. Got me laughing at you like you Red Fox. Got you chasing Hot Wheels like a Matchbox. EA running the game and it don't stop. Super cold like I'm playing for Blitz. Cause you all in my sights like Red Dead Redemption. Never gonna slip on my pimpin'. Better get out my way, bitch, I'm on a mission. Really ain't no competition. I'm steady grilling opposition. I'm get up and ready to win. They can play it how they play, but fuck what you say. I'm getting this money today. Last of us like a dying breed. Down the ride like a noble steed. Fatality moves, I make it bleed. That's on any game, that's on any screen. Shut up and give me your money. They said we so lit. Even if I take an L, we coming back just to show that we don't quit. They said we said we in. They said we said we on. They said we said we strong. They said we said we gone. We say that you heard right. 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 They said we said we in. They said we said we on. They said we said strong. They said we said go. We say that you heard right. We say that you heard right. We say that you heard right. We say that you heard right.
This fall, Bill Cosby returns to television with something new, own unique.
Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another installment of what are we doing? Oh my god, Everything Plus Gaming. My bad. Welcome to another installment of Everything Plus Gaming on TSWS. My name is Lokester, and joining me as always is Mr. Oshus over here. Tai Talks is also joining us. I'm just sorting. Yeah. I'm just sorting out the media here to get you in. While I do that, Oshus,
What up?
what have you been up to? What you been playing?
What have I been playing? I am currently playing Wu Chang, Fallen Feathers, and in between that, I'm just going back to Stellar Blade as well as Doom. What is it? Doom Dark Ages.
Okay.
But the
Stellar
main game
Cheeks,
is. Sorry?
Stellar Cheeks and Doom.
Well, no. Wu Chang is the main game I'm playing. Stellar
Oh,
Blade
oh,
is secondary. They're like the other games that I'm playing when I'm taking a break from Stellar Blade. From
okay.
Wu Chang. Yeah. It's actually
All right.
running in the
Fair enough.
background.
Fair enough. But are you doing good? Are you okay?
Yeah,
Is
man.
everything all right?
I'm just as we just had a little conversation. I'm just contemplating life.
Yeah.
Contemplating life. That my man, like I know, blessed.
Yeah.
All the things that make me happy are cheap.
So you're a Game Pass fan, essentially. That's what you're trying to say.
I mean,
You are a Game Pass fan.
yes. That also makes me happy. That saves me a lot of money.
No, you
That's
said everything you like. Everything you like is cheap, right? So
yeah.
clearly you're a Game Pass fan.
Yeah. I am.
Essentially. All right, Vincent Vega. What's happening, dog? Welcome, Vince. Get comfortable. Smash the like button. Let's see that cup. Let's see that cup. That looks like a nice pimp cup. Let me see.
It's a work cup, actually.
Aye, Oshas, you need to send me that cup. I like that cup.
Yeah, it keeps your drink cool. It's
Yeah.
thermal.
So you will be sending me the
Or
cup,
hot.
right?
Or hot. Or hot. Yeah, I'll send you a cup. We've got like a ton of these. I'll send you a couple. I'll send you
You
a
know I'm
set.
paying. You know I'm paying.
Huh? No. It's on the house.
As long as we're clear on that. As long as we're clear on that. You're not the only one that likes free stuff.
It's
You're not the
it's
only one
on
that
the
likes free
house.
stuff.
Worry not. It's on the house.
All right. Ty, welcome in. What you been playing? How you doing?
What's up, guys? I've been playing. I feel like such a. I don't know. I've been playing the altars for months now.
Wow.
I'm such a slow gamer. Like I literally so slow.
Is it that
Like
good
when
though?
people tell me like, "Oh, no, it's a really good game," but like I'm just taking my time. I play like maybe an hour a day, maybe an hour every 2 days or so. Um,
Okay.
so when people tell me like, "Oh, I have 200 hours on Horizon, Assassin's Creed," I'm like, "How? Like how are you people just playing and just keep playing for so long?" I don't know. It's crazy to me. But yeah, I'm playing the altars, but I also started playing this new game called Merry Men's on the mobile phone. It's basically Slay the Spire meets Gacha. So it has all the hallmarks of the gameplay, and it also has your typical anime women, but it's not as goonery as some of the other games, which kind of surprised me because I think for games like this, especially like card based games, you probably want to have a lot of sexualization with these characters to to kind of sell to the audience, but
Ty,
it's
what's
quite
your
chill.
problem with Gooning, bro? That's not even the main subject of today's show. But now
hmm
I want to know, what is your problem with Gooning? Like, what's the
There's no
problem?
problem whatsoever. No. I'm actually
It
saying I'm
sounds like
surprised.
there's a problem, brother.
No. I'm actually saying it's a surprise because I will say one thing. Gooning or whatever it is, you can get some additional sales, and it can be like your unique selling point. It's gonna get it's good advertisement, right? So if somebody tells you, hey, you can make A character who is not sexy or B character who's very sexy, and there's a mobile audience out there that loves these kind of gotcha sexy characters. Like think of like Pokemon, right? Um, I'm surprised they didn't lean more towards the goon inside of things. Put it that way.
Okay. Listen, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it does seem like you've got a problem with Gooning. It does seem like it
Well,
from
my
the
problem
tone.
with gooning is when people try to pressure developers to make a specific kind of game, or people try to say, well, if this game was sexy, it would have succeeded. Like all these dumbass talking points. I hate them so much. They're ridiculous. It's so it's so childish.
Oh, just keep it together. Keep it together. God damn it.
He doesn't like base takes, unfortunately. That's a satire issue. It's a satire problem.
Okay, Ty, which game do you believe did not need gooning?
No. I think they all. I mean, listen. Every game that has gooning is good for what it is. I think, for example, I would say Stellar Blade it didn't really need all that. It could have been just a normal. It could be the same face, with less of the fan service, and it probably still would have been a good game. I guess my question to you guys is, if let's say it's toned down, it's still the same face or same pretty face, but less,
Yeah.
panty scenes, less jiggles. Does the game get a minus
Panty
point for you?
scenes.
What are
What
you
panty
talking
scenes
about?
are there in Stellar Blade?
Okay. Sorry,
No,
my
no,
bad.
no.
Oh my
What?
gosh.
Okay.
This guy.
Wait. Let me be clear. When I say panties, there's an anime
What are you
trope that
talking
you guys probably know about on the chat, where like characters tend to be in a position where you can see like their ass cheeks and VJJ and all these things. So that's why I refer to panty scenes. In fact,
Listen,
I know
I've
this
seen
because
it.
I've edited Stellar Blade before, and there's a specific scene where she's fighting this monster, and as she's getting
Uh-huh.
flung in the air, her legs splits, and her legs just wide open. I'm like, okay.
I need you to share. I need you to share this video because I played Stellar Blade. I finished Stellar Blade and I saw no panty scenes.
No, it's not panties. It's just like it's more of an image of her. put it this way: if she was wearing a skirt, you would see the panties. That's what I mean.
Also, you have to use your imagination, right?
I mean, do you really have to use your imagination for Stellar
It
Blade?
sounds like you reaching, brother. It sounds like you reaching. Fuzzy Tomato, welcome in.
What are you
Welcome,
gooners talking about?
Ah! We're the gooners. We're the ones who brought the subject up. Is that what you're trying to say? Because don't let anyone rewind and find out who brought this topic up.
Yeah, I mean, I brought it up, but like, you guys got so triggered already. As soon as I say, yeah, we don't need that much sexiness in games, you guys go in attack mode.
Ah, man, that's what happens when you're red-blooded. That's what happens. Vincent says, "Let the sexy character exercise." I don't know, man. My only issue with what you said, Ty, like, there's nothing wrong with less sexualized characters, more sexually. This is whatever. It just seemed like you had a slant and you wanted to get into something specific, and I was welcoming you to do that. That's all that happened, brother. That's all that happened on my end, at least. All right, let me get this off the screen because we had a topic, but goddamn, Ty, you came in hot, just swinging. All right, Mr. Sean Layden, the guy on the cover of today's podcast. He's the main character for today. He might be the main character for 1 hour or for 1 minute. It depends on whether Ty cares, Oshas cares. I certainly care. But let's get into the topic. Actually, you know what? Let's do it the traditional thing, which is first, let's maybe make a fool of ourselves by going off on tangents just by reading the headline, and then find out we're all completely wrong when we get into the article. Oshas, what are your thoughts on this headline specifically? Welcome in, PS5 Blow says Sean Layden is the epitome of cool. We know he's not, brother. But okay, sure. Go ahead.
Game prices should increase with every generation, from a PlayStation US boss says. Well, I mean, like, okay, I saw this making the rounds, but like, I mean, I think context is key, or context is important. But that said, I agree with him and I also disagree with him. And I will explain when we get into the topic why I agree with him and why I don't, or why I disagree with him. But yes, he's right. But at the same time, he's wrong if we are using the current model that we have in terms of monetization. With the amount of monetization we have today, there shouldn't be a need for game prices to go up, right? Mm-hmm. However, if you were saying that, okay, cool, we're not going to monetize $60 games, or what is it? We're $70 games now, right? We're not going to monetize $70 games, then okay, cool, that makes sense to me, for game prices to go up generationally, for to sort of like to sort of counter development costs. But I think the problem is the whole model is so poorly put together in terms of like from a business perspective when it comes to controlling costs, and what a game should cost, what the average game that the average PlayStation game, the average Xbox game, the average PC game should cost. The model is just so poorly thought out, like, and it's become worse with each generation. That I don't know how you sort of you put that together. I don't know how you go about standardizing it, but he's right and he's wrong. That's my my analysis. My analysis.
Rachie, welcome in. No, you're not late. You're always on time, Rachie. Welcome. Have a seat. Everyone that's coming in, Seawolf, please make sure you guys are smashing the like button on your way in. Get comfy. It's going to be a long one today. Pause. And Xbox followed by raising their prices only to lower them because they couldn't get pre-orders. Outer Worlds 2, the next Xbox game to join Hellblade 2. All right. Ty, what do you think about this headline specifically before we get into the context? Ty, are you there? Wakanda to Ty. Have we lost Ty?
Can you hear me now?
Okay. Oh, that's Stark Tech, and we can't get a podcast going. All right, we can hear you. Go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty much in agreement with what Osh just said. Well, some of it anyway.
Mhm.
Game prices probably should have went up, yeah. And I think, the more it goes up, I think it becomes justifiable because back then, at least, we're talking, PlayStation 1 era games, right? And then the game
Yeah.
prices go up. You see a significant difference between a PS1 game and a PS2 game. And then game prices go up. You see a significant difference between a PS2 and a PS3 game. Same thing for PS4. But then as soon as you get to the PS4 and then you get to the PS5 era, well, now it becomes harder to justify because people are looking at these games and even though the games cost more to make, even though the games have more to do, because there isn't a graphical leap or there isn't something that's so unique that is changing the genre, people have a different outlook on it. And that outlook is pretty much, this is not worth it. I don't care if it costs you 300 million to make Spider-Man. To me, it looks like it cost you 150 million. Therefore, I do not want to pay $80 for it. End of story. So it would have been better for the, I guess you could say, the industry, right, to deal with these, substantial price increases as each generation goes by. However, to me, that's all irrelevant because what it means is that during the PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4 era, I was still paying the same price, more or less, for the game. So the consumer
Yes.
was actually winning regardless. So even though Sean Layden is right, as a consumer, this outcome was better for me. Especially now that I'm older, I can actually buy
Yeah.
these games for myself. It's okay
Yeah.
because if these prices were going up back when I was a kid, well, my mom's looking at it differently, thinking, "Well, okay, you know what? We're gonna get that for you for Christmas instead," as opposed to like, "Okay, yeah, sure, we just do it now." So overall, I think the consumers won in this regard, regardless of whatever happens. Sorry, regardless of what Sean Layden says, but I do agree with him overall.
I do not agree with Sean Layden at all. Excuse me. Crown Alchemy, welcome in, says if they give us games that are complete and not broken at $80, and then $80 is acceptable, 120 is not acceptable. That's another piece of the context that we're all ignoring here. Is that the games they're more expensive. You don't own them. They're broken at launch. And most of them don't even get finished because they get abandoned halfway through or 6 months later. Cyberpunk is not the norm. What normally happens is Anthem. That's what usually happens. It's just that not all games are Anthem. But most games, that's what happens, especially with talking AAA. It comes out, it's expensive as hell, it's broken, it's buggy, it's mid, and you don't own it now. They can take it away, right? But we're supposed to sit here and say, thank you, Sean Layden, for pointing out this marvelous, marvelous idea that we should pay more. Okay, sure, bud.
Hard disagree there with you, Luke.
Go ahead.
Most games that come out are okay. They're in a good enough state, or in a
They're
great
broken.
state. Actually, they're not
They're
broken.
broken.
Like, there's
They're
specific games that we can point out that might be broken, but most. I mean, like, I guess we could look at it this way. Would you say Wukong was broken?
Yeah,
Just
it
Stellar
was,
Blade was
it was unoptimized when it came out. It was a stuttering mess.
Baldur's Gate 3,
People
Hogwarts
complained
Legacy
about it. Baldur's Gate 3 as well. Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Even Baldur's Gate 3, a whole bunch of these games, when they come out like day one, when they want you to
Baldur's
pay
Gate
full
is
price,
broken.
when they want you to
Act
pay
3.
full price, they can't give you full product.
But it was on what is it? What they call it?
Early access.
Early access for the most time. By the time the actual game launched, I don't remember there being any sort of like.
No, Act 3 was.
There was
messed
issues
up.
on PS5. There
No,
was issues on PS5.
Act 3 was messed up. It wasn't working.
Oh yeah,
Dude, come on,
right,
Oshus,
actually,
there was
actually,
memes.
yeah.
There was memes of how broken Baldur's
yeah,
Gate 3 was. Come on, bro. Come on.
Forgettable memes. Nonsense.
Yeah. Okay. Oh,
But you see, here's my maybe main disagreement, right? There isn't really a trade-off for me between a 70 euro game and, well, my game's a bit broken, so I'm going to give you a discount.
Okay,
I don't buy ripped up clothes and I expect a discount. I want good clothes, right?
Exactly.
So I think my thing here is that it doesn't matter if these, about these broken conversations. The only reason why these companies can do this is because people have have either convinced
Accept it.
themselves that
Yes,
the
yes.
games are not broken enough for them
It's
to
our
not
fault.
get a discount. Yeah, exactly.
1
So I think it's
million
fine.
percent,
I don't
Ty.
I don't blame Nintendo for bringing out a Mario Kart game, for $80, and people are saying, "Hey, man, you guys should have had more missions. You should have had more this, more that." No, the consumer has decided it's enough. Therefore, it's enough.
Forget Mario Kart, Ty. Forget Mario Kart. Pokemon. I was watching Fritanga plays his video yesterday or the day before, and he showed like the last 2 or 3 Pokemon games, right? Like one after the other, after the other. It's all crap. They're all bad. But dude, you go and watch you go and watch what's happening in Japan when they do a Pokemon collaboration with McDonald's. People are ready to kill each other to buy 10, 20, 30 burgers to get a chance at those Pokemon cards. And when the Pokemon game comes out, it sells bonkers. Dude, everything is a relationship. Everything is a relationship. We have a relationship with these companies. And we've sat there and told them, guys, we don't need properly optimized full games at launch. We're good. Keep kicking us in the nuts. We've been telling them this for the longest time. Why would they stop? Even this that Sean Layden's talking about. He can say this, and I bet you the current PlayStation execs feel this way. The current Nintendo execs feel this way. The current Xbox execs feel this way. And that's why they always try to move the line and push it further and further and further. Why? Because Tae, Oshus, and Loke are going to bitch about it. Do you know what's going to happen? Everyone else is going to buy the game. They're just going to buy the game. Outer Worlds was a small victory. You know what? Outer Worlds was not even a victory. Outer Worlds and Borderlands 4 was just covert conditioning. Now everyone's sitting there thinking, oh, $70. Nice. But it wasn't a year ago. We were all bitching about $70. Now they're fooling us into thinking $70 is actually cheap. I didn't wanna turn this into a tirade. This is just supposed to be like introduction to the topic. Apologies. Or Oshus and Ty, apologies. Who else came in here? All right, Jacob Novak, Richie Ahmed, excited, Double Fine works. See, everyone's excited about these new games, regardless of whether they're $70 or $80. So it's not going to change anything. All right, let's get into the context of this video. Of this article. Let's get into the meat and potatoes. Don't forget Nintendo gave us the prices. Seawolf, what I'm trying to say is that it's not Nintendo, it's not Xbox, it's not PlayStation, it's all of them. It's all of them. If this whole multi-plat thing has not convinced you yet, they have tea together. They go and share the same squat rack. These guys hang out in the same Discord lobby. It's not war, bro. Let's get into it. Layden, who was a chairman of the company's Worldwide Studios Group when he left Sony in 2019, shared his thoughts on video game pricing in a new feature by GamesIndustry.biz. On the topic of game prices increasing to $80, Layden noted that the cost of premium games had stayed the same for the past 20 years despite the combination of increased development costs and inflation. So I need to stop right here. Ty, please tell us why these 2 points that he brings up specifically are actually very good points, and we should all be grateful that we're not paying $100 yet for games.
Because these are facts. Inflation is a thing. It's risen. These developers who are making games, they have families to feed. They're getting higher wages. If the cost of you making a product goes up, then someone needs to offset that cost, and generally that's the consumer. What's happened though is that the consumer hasn't been paying that cost, the people who've been paying that cost is just the company. It's been eating into the profit margins. Now, what they've done here is, which is good enough or clever, it just depends how you want to look at it, is that they've managed to take that same consumer or maybe that same product and make you additional content that's cheaper, like DLCs, expansion packs, microtransactions. These are the things that made games cheap. You were able to justify it. Now the problem is when the consumer starts to say, well, too much expansions, too much DLCs, or too much live service in the game, well then that's a trade-off. So, when you mentioned earlier on that, well, all these things are happening, live service broken games, the argument would be, well, Spider-Man 2 isn't really like that. God of War isn't really like that.
Spider-Man 2 was broken as well. People were sharing videos and posts and clips of Spider-Man 2 having issues. Yes, God of War, I saw nothing. But Spider-Man 2, I saw it. I was there. It was
Okay.
terrible. It was bad day one, bro. It was
All
bad
right.
day one. Yeah.
Let's say I grant you that. The point
Yeah.
still stands that the trade-offs isn't really there for some of these companies. Like look at Baldur's Gate, for example. They don't have any of these live action, live service parts in it. And even they said it themselves that, we think our game is worth 70. Like, we launched it at 60, but we did a lot for this game. And we had to give, what's this guy's name again? The guys who own Baldur's Gate.
Larian. No.
The guys. You should know this.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Hasbro. We have to give them like 100 million. You know what I mean? So they're obviously thinking to themselves, you know what? Next time we drop a game like this, it's going to be $80 because we put in time and effort and the wages are going up. So I think there is a trade-off, and I don't think consumers like that trade-off because the truth is consumers don't want to talk about the business side of things. And this is the part that maybe gets tricky because a consumer will make a business argument like, oh, XYZ. And then when you give them the full details of the business side of things, they'll retreat to, well, I'm just a consumer, so I don't care. I think this is where you can't really have a discussion with these people. But yeah, again, Sean Layden is correct.
But is it the responsibility?
People?
Sorry, go ahead, Oshus.
No. I'm just like saying, like you said, you kind of have a conversation with these people. It sounds so racist. Well, why would you say?
Oh,
you know how they be like.
It's classist, not racist. Anyway, I would say, Ty, it's not the people's, it's not the customer's job to keep the company afloat. When push comes to shove, what's going to happen is what is already happening. And this is why it's so concerning to see Sean Layden say what he apparently said here. It's that people don't know. Oh, sorry, not people don't know. People do not have where to take all this money and make it appear randomly, right? Because you're talking about, the cost of making games has increased. Yes, has minimum wage increased considerably since 2013? Has costs decreased in general? Like I'm talking about rent, food, transport, etc. Has that happened? Because what's happening is people, for example, have been making $3,000 a month for years. Now it's up to $3,020 a month now, and everything else has gone up. Your Netflix, your Hulu, your Game Pass, your video games, everything entertainment wise has gone up way more than whatever it is that average human beings on the planet are earning has gone up, right? So it's not keeping up with the all-powerful and all-knowing inflation that you present to us, Ty. So what's going to happen, in my opinion? What's going to happen is people are either going to start pirating more, or they're just going to be more selective. And by being more selective, you're going to have more companies that do what Sean Layden says and charges $80, $100. Oh yeah, this is what the product's worth. All right. No one's going to buy it. Then everyone's out of a job. Is that the right outcome? Is that the way forward, Ty? Vince, Ty is not a pony. I just want to correct that very quickly before Ty responds. Ty is not a pony, bro. he's a corpo cut.
Again,
He's a corpo bootlicker. That's what Ty is. He's not
so
a pony.
so where I disagree with Tai is the part that like the companies have been absorbing the cost, and the cost has not been transferred over to the customer. Like there's a lot of shortcuts that companies have been taking not to absorb the cost. Like for instance, the fact that games get released and they're not finished tells me that, well, you're not willing to absorb the cost. You are rather going to prioritize your annual releasing based on, you know, what you owe your shareholders that quarter and what your schedule is based on your obligation to shareholders. That's got nothing to do with you making sure that you are sort of like catering to customers, or making sure that customers are getting, or you know, they're paying for a superior product. I mean, factually, we can prove that the product has gotten worse over time.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, I think that is obvious
You
in
can
terms of
track
like
it. You can track it. It's so
you can
laughable.
track the fact that, yeah. So, but like, I don't want to dwell on that too much. My point here is, going back to why I agreed and I disagreed with Sean Layden. If you do not have, and this is the thing that all game developers have, all of them have access to this, and they all exploit this anyway. You have access to monetization. Like, you cannot monetize a movie. You cannot release a movie and then release DLC for a movie. I think some people have tried to do that, but like, you can't. The only way you can monetize a movie once, or a film once you put it out in circulation, if it's not in cinema, is, well, if it goes, like for instance, you put it on digital and then you make money from digital if it was a cinematic endeavor.
And
If
then you
it's
drop it
on
on like
streaming,
Netflix or Amazon as well. Yeah.
100%. If it's on streaming, you get money as the studio for putting it on streaming. But you cannot monetize content, whether it's music or movies or books, the way you can monetize games. Games, you can always put content out there that costs nothing to make. Skins, turning something color blue, which is what mobile content does all the
And
time,
it's now
does not
$5.
cost $10 or $60, but you can do that. So I think for me, it all comes down to greed, that the monetization is not used to sort of balance the games, or to sort of like balance the cost of producing games. It's used solely just for greed, to milk more games or to milk more money out of like the customer. Whereas if you used it correctly, you would not need to increase the prices of games. There is no ways. And again, even if, like, to Tyre's point, games do not look significantly better this generation than they did in the beginning of the Xbox One generation. And then you can blame that on technology. You can blame that on the Unreal 5 engine or whatever the situation is. But the bottom line is that the cost,
not just their games, they're not movies, bro. While
exactly,
they look
and
like
you
is like
don't-
30 or 40% of the equation. Just go and ask the guys that made
Yes,
Vampire
and
Survivor. Ask the guys that made what's it called?
Expedition 33, Baba. The
No,
living
Expedition 33. It looks
the living
gorgeous.
anomaly.
No.
No, but I'm just
Expedition
saying,
33 looks amazing, bro. I'm talking about Schedule 1. Yeah, Schedule 1. There
yeah,
are a lot of big
No, I'm talking about,
successes. A lot of big successes.
yeah, but yeah.
Centered around the gameplay itself, not just the looks.
Yeah, no,
But
I'm in agreement with
finish
that.
your point.
I'm in
Finish your
agreement with that. Yeah, yeah. So my point is that, like, there is methods. There's ways you can do this without having to scalp your customers. The only people that deserve to get sculpted, or like that deserve to pay more for games, and I wish and I hope they pay like $120 for a game, is people that support Nintendo. Like, anyone that buys
Just a quick one on the
deserves.
point you made. I think
Wow. Someone
there is
really
there is a way to do this, but the problem becomes you're kind of speaking as if the gaming industry is one huge company, where it's not. It's different teams, different developers. So at some point, the fact that you have shareholders and people who are investing, right? So you can think about it this way: you tell me you want to make a game, and you need 100 million. I'll give it to you. Somebody else tells me I want to make a game for 100 million, and I'm going to put microtransactions in there. I'm by default going to go to the one who's going to make me more money, Don't get
Yeah.
it twisted. Investors are not gamers. They're here to
Yes,
make
they're not.
money. You know,
Yeah.
I have stocks in Apple. I don't have an Apple iPhone. I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even use that ecosystem. As soon as you tell me that you ain't making money anymore, I'm taking my money out. I'm putting it somewhere else. I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't care about the ecosystem. So people don't care
Yeah.
about Microsoft like that. They don't care about Sony like that. They're just here to make money. And I think because of that, you're always going to gravitate to whoever who can make you the most money. So what I do get what you're saying, Oshers, I do think that it's never going to be an easy um it's never going to map on everywhere because every developer is different. Everyone has different metrics, etc., etc., etc. I guess that'll be my only disagreement with you.
Seawolf asked a good question
Yeah,
earlier
like,
on.
and all I'm saying is that, like,
All right, go ahead. Go ahead and finish your point, Oshus. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, yeah. So all I'm saying is that it is possible to monetize games without increasing the price of games. You find a sweet spot, and then you just sell the over and above stuff, and then you make all the money in the world that you want, provided that the game that you launch was good enough to attract a base market. It was a Baldur's Gate. It was a Sekiro or a Elden Ring. You can release all the DLC you want, and the people that like that type of game will support you. So I don't see the problem here.
Unfortunately, that's never going to happen. Ever, ever, ever.
Why?
We're never going to
Why?
get to a situation where every game that comes out is a 10 out of 10 game or 9 out of 10 game. That's impossible.
No, but no, it doesn't have to be 10 out of 10, but it just has to be, it has to just have a loyal, dedicated audience. That means that just make games that people want to play, and you will be able to monetize them to here.
So it goes back. It goes back to the Jim Sterling quote, which is these companies don't want to make money; they want to make all the money, and therein lies the problem. You need to have a company where you make you spend 10 million making a game, you make 15 million, you break even, and you make a $5 million profit, and you're good. That needs to be. It needs to become okay.
It can become okay for a indie or AA game, but even that's a risk because the problem here is like look at Remedy, for example, right? Alan Wake 2 did well for them, but if you look at their profit margins, they're not exactly in the major green. Like if Alan Wake 3 fails and the one after that fails,
weren't they trying to? They were trying to break even for like a year and a half.
Yeah, listen, there's no company that feels secure knowing that, like, okay, well, one more project, and if that fails, we're screwed.
Yeah,
especially when the project you're making is in a 5-year time span, because people can change. Everyone who made a live service game back in 2017-18, that was a hot shit back then. But as soon as we reach 2020, everyone's like, okay, we don't want to rock with live service no more. So now you just dropped your game in 2023, but the fan base or the consumer isn't interested in that kind of product anymore. Now you're screwed. Now everyone's fired because no one wants to play that game.
Ty, no one has the right to guarantees and corporate safety and all this other stuff. No one has the right to. You don't have that. Oshus doesn't have that. I don't have that. No one. Most people on this planet have no inherent right to a safe financial investment and outcome.
Agreed.
There's no God-given right that these companies have that they need to have these safety nets. So what's going to happen is they're going to continue to increase the prices. They're going to continue to create these safety nets. We're going to keep cutting those nets and buying AA games, and AAA studios will keep getting shut down. One thing I do agree with you is that this issue is definitely not a AA issue. This is a AAA problem. They're the ones who are really struggling with this one.
I'll say one thing though. I think the actual issue here as well is it isn't that the AAA studios are necessarily, like, to some extent they're having problems, but they're not actually having, I think, major problems like that. EA is still good with FIFA. They're still good with.
So why they keep bitching about it, bro?
No,
If they're
no.
not having problems,
I think a lot of the losses that we're seeing here is some developers who did double A or indie games trying to level up into triple A. If you look at Flintlock, that was those guys made what game did they make? They're the ones who made the fighting game. The very, very double A-ish, indie kind of fighting game. Yeah. They then made Flintlock, bombed. Look at the guys who made Banishers. Banishers probably looks like the most expensive game that they've made. But that's a double A studio trying to level up into triple A, and they're just not on it. I think the triple A devs like the Nintendo, the Sony, like they're going through problems, but they're more or less going to be okay. The issue is, are we going to start
Ashen.
seeing
They made Ashen.
Ashen? Yeah, are we going to start seeing these double A develop? Because what we expected, I think, in the industry 6 years ago was that these double A devs will level up into triple A studios. And I think the problem is they're not, because no one wants to either buy the game or maybe they can't manage the budget too well, etc.,
If
etc.
your game's not good enough, you won't become AAA. Again, it goes back to what I said earlier. No one has the right to succeed, dude. No one has the right to succeed. These guys made Ashen, very, very good game. The next game they made, not so good. It is what it is. The guys that made Remnant, I don't think they're AAA. Who makes Remnant? From the Ashes.
Gunfire game.
That's a triple A game, right?
It's the
Gunfire
same guys that are
game.
making the new Darksiders game.
You see, these guys before that, they also made Outriders, which flopped. But they also made Chronos before the Ashes, which was kind of okayish. We received kind of okayish back in the day. The truth is, Ty, it's better up. It's better up. Swing. You either hit a home run, you make a one run, or you get taken out if you miss 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
What with this whole situation with Sean Layden, when he's saying this about increasing expenses and whatever, that he's talking about making a soft cushion so they don't lose out, so they have no risk in their lives, in their endeavors. And all I'm saying is no one has the inherent right to say, for some special reason, I'm exempt from everything else in the universe, in terms of, if you do good things will happen to you. If you fail, you must also pay the price for failing.
I don't believe that's what he's saying, though. What he's saying is that we spent $100 million to make Spider-Man, and it sold 20 million copies. We've spent $150 million to make Spider-Man 2, and it sold 20 million copies. Our margins are shorter now. And for Spider-Man 3, we're going to spend $250 million, but we're expected to sell the exact same. Our margins are going shorter and shorter and shorter. So he's saying that the investment we're putting in isn't producing more revenue for us.
Did we tell you to invest that money?
No, but let's stop for a second. Like, let's not pretend we don't want games to be better.
Ty, listen to me. You are here to sell charcoal, right? You come to the market to sell charcoal. Your competitors decided to rent a trailer and go buy charcoal and bring it to the market. You made the dumbass decision to buy a trailer and then go buy charcoal and come back here. Now, your margins are smaller and your situation is more aggressive because you've now overspent, so you have less money to keep the lights on, to keep the fuel running, to keep everyone fed at home, right? Now you need, instead of you selling 2 or 3 boxes of charcoal a day, you now need to sell 100 boxes of charcoal a day. Is that the fault of the people coming to the market to buy charcoal, or is it your fault?
That's my fault, eh?
No one has ever, Ty, no one has ever interacted. You use Spider-Man as an example. No fans have ever sat in any budgeting meeting at least not to my knowledge. Not Puerto Rock, not... Fuck, I can't think of any other PlayStation fans. Not Seawolf in the chat. No one has ever sat there in the budget meetings and said, you know what? Increase the follicles on Pizza Parker's hair.
That's a lie.
Increase the lighting in his eyeballs.
That's a lie.
Okay.
We all want. I hate to think.
Don't tell me about no obtuse. We all want this. I'm saying.
Yeah, no.
This goes back to my example of the charcoal. This goes back to my example of the charcoal. You made the decision by yourself to go and buy this charcoal. The people at Sony, when they spent $300 million to make a Spider-Man game, there's no PlayStation fan, not a one, that sat in that room and signed on that document. No one approved the purchase order or the work order. No one. There's not one PlayStation fan that signed that document. But now we are supposed to be responsible for their bad decision making. That was not a rhetorical question, Ty.
Hold on. Okay. I have rebuttals, but let's skip the rebuttals for a second. And let me ask you a direct question.
No,
and I ask questions as well.
First I need you to address the question that I made. Otherwise, you can ask a question, and now me and
no. Everything you're saying is correct based on the parameters you created.
Hold on, Ty. Now, me and Oshus, whatever you ask us, we can now say, let's skip your question and let's go to
what question else. You're asking me though? No, everything you're saying is correct based on the parameters you created. You are absolutely correct. No one was in the boardroom saying, "Hey, listen, put an extra 150 million into this." Yeah, no one told Sony these things. I agree.
To make these bad investments and make their profit margins tiny.
I don't believe Sony would call it bad investments.
The same way no one told Nintendo. Remember a couple of weeks ago, Ty? Nintendo, there was an article that we read out here on the show. Nintendo specifically said their margins are getting smaller, so what they're going to do is reduce development costs. They came out and straight up said that. These guys know how to run a company. These guys are making decisions that in 5, 10, 20 years from now, they won't feel bad about making. Sony is out here talking about we need to increase costs after they sit there and say, you know what, let's throw a shit ton of money. Those 80 million consoles, these motherfuckers are going to buy them. All right.
Okay.
This little guy hates corporations. He's a fanatic. I'm a fanatic. You know what?
Sure.
Whatever. Oshus, Ty doesn't want to address my question. Do you agree?
No, wait. What is the question? I agree with your question. I agree.
I said, Ty. I said that this premise being put out here is that Shawn Layden and his buddies. I don't sit here and say this is just Shawn Layden, because as we well know, these guys are all buddies. They have each other's phone numbers. They hang out in Discords. They know each other very well. If he's saying this is not just Shawn Layden. They all feel this way. They all feel like every time we pay $70, they're like, you cheap ass bastard. They all fucking feel this way. And my point was that this is them saying that they want a cushion so they don't so they can have safety, right? Against their bad decisions, their bad investments. That's what this conversation's about. And you said no, it's not. So my point, bringing up the charcoal example, and then when you brought up Spider-Man with the hundreds of millions, I also used that as an example to say, dude, that's not our fault. That's not our responsibility. That's why I said, if you're not in the room when the decision is made, when the bad decision is made, how are you responsible for a bad decision? This rubbish about development cost and inflation, that's dumb, bro. It is dumb. Because I'm not going to sit here and be like, everyone in the market is selling charcoal at $100. I'm going to sell charcoal at $600. You know why? because of transportation costs and inflation. Don't nobody care at the market why the fuck my charcoal is 6 times more expensive than everyone else. They don't care. They just look at my crazy price and they're like, all right, man, cool. We just gonna keep it pushing. That's on you. And that's why I'm saying it's not our fault. They made a bad decision. Sit and spin, baby. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Based on those parameters, I can agree.
Make your question.
Here's my question, right? What is the solution when you have specific consumers who do want major investments in games and they're willing to spend, or you have some consumers, for example, like Ushers have mentioned, go for your target market?
Yeah.
What is the answer to please those people at the same time secure?
I'm about to say something that's going to.
Who are these
secure
people?
your company? Well, anybody it is.
Exactly. Thank
Okay,
you, Ty.
but like,
Thank you.
So my question is like, so who like, because you make it seem like there's this definitive audience that they're serving that demands this. Nobody demanded this. This was a strategy that they picked, and it's a strategy that worked.
Ushers, that's not even the line. Ushers, that's not the line. You know what the line is? The line is the Activision lawsuit. The line is the Activision lawsuit. We're not saying no one wants great S tier games like Spider-Man to look the way they look in The Last of Us. Ty. What we're saying is what Ono It's Alex has been saying for the last few days. You're not enough. That's what we're saying. You don't have enough people that are going to buy your super fabulous, extravagant souffle of a video game. There's a whole bunch of people that just want to buy Schedule 1 and Peak and fucking Roblox. Not enough people give a shit about Spider-Man. And especially not at the price of $70, $80, $90, $100. No, not enough people care. So there's your answer, Ty. What do you do about those people? Don't cater to them. Going back to my charcoal example, if I make a super expensive charcoal that only 2 people buy, should I keep making that charcoal, bro? Is it a good financial idea? Is it a good financial decision for me to sit there and watch everyone that's making charcoal for $100 sell the fuck out? Or if they don't sell out because they've they've spent less money than me, they sell less charcoal, but they're good. They still pay their bills and life keeps going. Is it a good idea for me to insist on my $600 charcoal and when only 2 people buy it?
No, of course not.
So there's your answer. Yes, there's a lot of people that want to buy these super exclusive games for $100. There's not enough for them, Ty.
Here's what I'll say. Oh, the question I was kind of asking you guys.
Yeah.
I think there's a nice middle ground where I'll give an example. Clear Obscure, let's say, for argument's sake, it costs 50 million. There's a universe where that is too expensive. And Clear Obscure, by your logic, should cost 25 million instead, right? But I'm saying that if you can create a situation where you can spend 50 million and put the price to whatever, $100, I will buy it. Loc will buy it. Ushers will buy it. And then for those people who can't afford it for whatever reason or don't think it's worth it, when it goes on sale, you can get it there. One of my examples was God of War. It sold 9 million copies within the first year. So you can make a strong argument that maybe half of those people bought it at full price. But God of War has sold 20 million plus copies. And a lot of those copies were at $40, $30, $25. So I'm saying that we can have our cake and eat it too. I want Rockstar to spend $1 billion or whatever you want to call it, whatever it's going to be, on GTA. And maybe Ushers is too broke to get it. That's fine. I'll buy it.
Bro. God damn.
And then when Christmas comes along and it's 70% off, then he can purchase it. But do you see how we're both winning here? Because he gets to play a game that costs $1 billion, and I get to play it too. I just get to play it sooner. So we're both winning. But the idea that Oshos is like, well, I can't afford it now, so it shouldn't exist.
But
It's
hear your
ridiculous.
words.
How is
Hear
that a
your
business
words.
strategy?
Well,
Hear your words,
that's
Ty.
the business strategy we have right now. Games go on sale.
And it's a horrible one because you're losing money. You're
How?
not making enough money.
It's why every few weeks there's an article with one of these execs maligning how cheap gaming is and has been for the last 20, 30 years. Dude,
This is
this is
true.
not
If it
random.
was working, then they wouldn't be crying every second day, but we're not making enough money. I've never heard
Money,
Rockstar cry about
please.
not making enough money. They make all the
Well,
money.
not every game
And
can be
Ty,
like
hold
Rockstar,
on,
bruh.
hold on. Before I forget my train of thought, Ty, to your point, not every game is GTA. You said it earlier on, I think like 30 minutes ago. Not every game is a 9 or 8 out of 10. So why is every game going to charge me like it's a 9 or 8 out of 10? Because I'm telling you, we would have no problems, Ty. We would have zero problems if select games were $100. If most games were like 40, $30 on launch, and then your creme de la creme was $100, everyone would be chilled. When you have situations with Outer Worlds 2, thank you, Seawolf Swift. When you have situations with Outer Worlds 2, no shade to anyone that is absolutely frothing at the mouth to play Outer Worlds 2. I mean, here I am. I'm also frothing at the mouth to play to play Football Manager 26 when it comes out. But I'm not going to sit here and justify Football Manager looking at the trend and saying, yeah, $70. It's like, dude, chill.
Would you spend
Sure.
$80 on Football Manager?
I would.
Okay, 90,
Yes.
100,
Yes.
120.
No.
Okay, so that's what. And this, but you said that there's people out there who would spend 120 on Football Manager.
Not enough people.
No. I agree,
spend-
and I'm saying like,
spend it.
and I agree. So once it comes out for 120 and you can't get it because whatever reason, then when it drops down to 90 on sale, would you buy it?
Probably, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, my main. I'm not trying to say that this is a one size fits all. I'm saying that this push, developers are going to move towards AA or low end AAA because of finances. Like we all get that, but there seems to be this extra push from certain individuals that is trying to make everyone all of a sudden a AA studio because they feel like, well, everyone should just be AA because it costs too much.
No,
Because I don't want to spend $80, so just reduce your
Are
cost.
we
And I'm
saying
saying,
it costs-
and what I'm saying here specifically is that you can charge $80, and the people who can afford it will get it. And then when it goes down to 70, then you can go get it. And 60, and 50, and 40, and 30. Like
But
I don't like I bought this John Wick game recently for like 50 cents. People
Hex,
buy
right?
games like people
What
buy
they
games for
did-
$10,
he just said-
$15, $20. This idea that like, oh, it's 80. This is it's not disastrous. It's, like wait, hold on a second. Like look, are games
Yeah.
$80 in your region, dollars wise?
No,
How much are they?
$100. I've been
So-
paying $100 for years now.
Yeah, so you've been paying so basically you've been paying $100 to play like Elden Ring and these kind of games. The industry didn't need to fall back and we didn't need to reduce the cost of Elden Ring just because you had to pay more. It's fine.
Oh God. Then you bring up one of the greatest games of all time. Come on,
No, but
dude.
my point is, it's fine. Just because somebody out there is willing to pay $100, that's fine. And then when it goes down in price, you can get it. Oshos tells me every single time on this podcast, like, "Oh, I just bought this game. It was on sale. Yes, the system is working. And games that cost a lot to make and are shit.
Not according to them. The system ain't working, brother. Not according to them, brother.
It's the best system we have.
Well, you know what? You need to tell your buddy Sean Layden. He
Nah,
needs
Sean.
he needs to be aware.
This is the
Oshos,
best system we have.
I feel like we've been sidelining you today. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
This is like it's kind of like when you talk to somebody from like the extreme left who's like, oh, socialism, this and that, yeah, and you're like, well, capitalism is actually pretty grand, and they're like, no, it sucks. I'm like, yo, listen, it's the best system we have. It's not perfect. It can never be perfect, but it's the best system we have. This system of games cost money to make, and we as a consumer can pick or choose to not buy it, and other people can pick and choose to buy it. And then when the game goes down in sale, then I can then purchase it. Starfield is still selling because people are still buying it on sale. And I'm saying that's
Yeah,
the
but
best system we have.
Rachel brings up a good point.
What's Rachel's point?
Rachel brings up a good point, which says, and Rachel says, everyone will stop buying day one.
But you see, I would say, Rachel, that the market will correct itself because the
What
day
does
one
correcting?
people,
No. I need you. I need you to be specific. What do you mean when you say it will correct itself? What does that mean?
because I think it was in 2022 or so
Guys,
where
smash
like
the like button. Smash the like button, y'all, please.
I think it was in 2022 where it was like billions left the industry or hundreds of millions. What I'm trying to say here is that not everyone can be a 80-year-old day one studio, and you're gonna find out very fast and hard that you can't, and the market will correct itself. When the reason why Outer Worlds 2 is
So
$70,
you're saying exactly what I said.
yeah, no, we agree. I actually told you we agree. I'm saying that
Okay.
the problem here is that there's people like ushers here who are crying, demanding games should all be, cheap and free, and let's not be 80, all this nonsense. And I'm saying that these guys are extremists. Okay, I'm happy with the way the system is right now. When the
Ushers,
$80 game comes out, I just will
we are
buy it.
extremists and like and all
listen,
this
it's been
stuff.
an hour of me and Ty only. Ushers, please defend thyself. Or do
Well,
you
what
agree
do I
with
like? There's
with
nothing to
with
defend, like,
Ty
I mean,
is
like,
characterizing you as like the best example of a Game Pass
yeah,
addict.
like like
Point.
because but wanting cheap gaming is bad. I mean, like Tai defends Game Pass when it's convenient, when it's about defending Microsoft's or whatchamacallit practices and whether or not Microsoft. He's the first one to jump in front of that. Like, he's literally Captain Save a whole company. Every time a whole ass company does
The whole
something foul,
company.
he's. I mean, like, who's the number one defender of Ubisoft that you know? And
Actually,
what's the biggest OS company in the world right now? It's probably Ubisoft.
Ty
So,
is the
but like,
number one defender. This number two defender. You know what, Ty? You're the only person that defends Ubisoft that I know. I don't know anyone else that defends Ubisoft.
Yeah, because you guys kind of fall into this thing where you over demonize people. It's kind of like people over demonize Trump, maybe, or people over demonize, people on
Oh
the
my
left.
God,
Like,
you're gonna defend the orange man. What the hell is going on?
just say the truth. Ubisoft sucks at this point, but don't create these random news stories and just analyze them properly like anyone else would. Don't say that if Shadows fails, Ubisoft is destroyed as a company, because that's just not factually correct.
I said that.
Listen, when you were on your anti-woke train, anyone who was perceived woke took shots from you. You're a fraud. Ushers is even worse.
Ushers, sorry, Ty. I need you to be specific right now. I said that if Shadows fails, Ubisoft.
No. You say that, but you went at Yasuke, and I would never forgive you for that.
I don't give a fuck. I'm Mozambican, bro.
Yeah, you went against your African brother, your freaking neighbor, bro.
I'll deal with Yasuke when I die, and we have to sit at the campfire with the ancestors. Go ahead, Oshus.
Yeah, so like, there's nothing to defend here, like because, and again, like what Ty is saying is basically is that, like, well, you know what, and again, like I keep asking him, like, well, how is that a business strategy? Isn't the business strategy getting the money? Like, and what he's saying is that, well, no, it doesn't matter. Like, so you making strategic decisions that are gonna render you broke because you're overspending because Taye wants a premium game. Taye wants to overpay for a 6 out of 10 game. He's saying, I will give you $80 for a 6 out of 10 game. I will give you.
That's not what he said.
Well, I will give you my. I will buy the deluxe edition of Ubisoft. Because of the fact that I want a AAA game, right? That's what he's saying. He's saying, and I'm saying, okay, cool. If that's what you want to do, that's fine.
But
I'm saying
not Ubisoft,
that is your decision. Huh?
It's like Shadows
Sorry?
is not Ubisoft, dude. That is a polished game.
No comment. I don't want to. I don't want to get into that conversation right
All
now
right, all right,
about
fine,
whether or not
fine,
it's Ubisoft
fine.
and whatnot. We've had this discussion before. I'm just saying that that's Tyre's personality. He's that guy. He's saying he's willing to overpay for stuff. He's willing to pay 80 to 90, whatever it is, as long as on the box
That's
it
not
says AAA
that's
game.
not what he said. That's not what he said to me just now on this podcast right now. Unless you guys had another podcast somewhere else, because he's
Listen,
not
this is what
denying
these
it.
No.
extremists
I'm
do. They
surprised.
take
I'm
your
surprised,
words
right?
and they spin it to make you sound like don't over demonize me. Just say what I
Oh,
said, you know,
yeah,
which
just
is
say what
fine.
he said.
The truth is, we're actually not
Just say
actually
what he
disagreeing fundamentally on any like main points. The difference is just literally, I think there's a anger towards Sean Lady's statements. I don't think necessarily even disagree that game prices probably should go up to match the cost of games. Now when people say like, well, you're making bad decisions, I'm saying I don't like, how could we have such a bad decision? If I was to ask you right now, what are the defining games of PS3 that you think sold them more consoles, that was the best strategy to do, what games would you say, Loke?
Metal Gear Solid 4.
That was a defining game of PS3 that sold them more consoles.
I was
Okay,
the only one
apart from your fanboy game,
It was
Uncharted, I
probably
guess.
one of the
I
best
guess,
selling games on
dude, a lot of
PS3.
people bought MGS4. Like I remember
oh
in
no,
South
sorry, just
Africa.
say
Yeah,
PS3 and PS4.
Sorry,
Like, oh no,
sorry.
PS4. Sorry, my bad. I
the
said PS3.
PS4. I mean, if you're talking about PS4, it's a little bit different. But I
Yeah,
mean,
if we're
Yeah,
talking
PS4,
PS3.
PS4.
okay.
Sorry.
But like,
Okay,
okay, so
okay.
what is the point? I'm just trying to understand. So what is
No, no,
is
because
the
if the argument is that it's this big ass AAA games that cost so much money and it's a bad strategy, what I'm asking you, what were the games that separated Xbox One from the PS4? What games did Sony put out that made everyone say, "I need to get this console"?
Okay,
I'll
let me
show
tell you.
slow.
Let me tell you. It was very simple. It wasn't actually the games, because both consoles came out kind of bare bones. Actually, Xbox came out swinging for a bit.
Mhm.
But what really switched the tides was that the PlayStation was for the customer, Xbox was for the corporation. PlayStation was like, you want to switch games? Just take this and give it to the next guy. Xbox was all about every single one of you motherfuckers is going to have to buy a copy of this game. We're not trying to keep it 1999. And PlayStation was trying to keep it gangster when PS4 came out. That's what really happened. Everyone would like to you're talking about exclusives, whatever. The exclusives came after. A lot of people made the decision to get a PS4 because you know what? The PS4 treated you much better compared to the Xbox. The Xbox had a meme where the head of Xbox told you that if you don't want to be always online, there's a console for you, and it's the previous console. The PlayStation was like, dude, online, offline, your game, your brother's game, let's rock and roll, baby. That was PlayStation with PS4. Don't let anyone lie to you that it was exclusives. It was the platform that sold itself. The exclusives came after. And even the exclusives themselves, Ty, we were on here looking at the FTC filings. The exclusives have never, well, let me not lie, at least in the window that has been tracked, right, which is the PS4 gen and the PS5 gen, the exclusives have never been in the top 10. Maybe for a month, but not for the year,
he argues
not
all
for the
time.
decade,
He
not for
makes
the
it all the
generation.
time.
People are buying PlayStations to play FIFA. They're buying it to play Madden. They're buying it to play Fortnite and Genshin Impact. I'm sorry.
Okay, Ushers, how about you? Do you agree with Loke? Exclusives didn't matter for the PS4 or PS3.
No, PS3 they did. No, I'm
Okay.
talking about the PS4.
All right, PS4. Ushers, do you agree?
We have no data on the PS3.
Yeah, well, I think
Ooh,
I
this
think
is a
largely
tricky
they were
one.
part
This
of
is
the
like
conversation.
cognitive dissonance for this guy
No, they
right
were
here.
definitely part of the conversation. You can't discount them because of the fact that if you look at like even if you look at like what Xbox tried to do towards the end of that generation, it was based on the fact that Sony had created the standard of like really really polished AAA games. that are like Hollywood level in terms of production. So you can't discount that. That was a huge part of their strategy during that generation, and it panned off for them. But it was not the only part of the strategy. To the point that they closed all their smaller studios to just double down on that. So that was a strategy that paid dividends when the budgets were reasonable. But to your point, and you laid this out very well, is that when you make a game that's going to cost 50 to 100,000, so 100 million, and you sell 10 million, that makes sense. But when that same game, the budget now goes from 100 to 150 to 200 million, and you're still making, or you're still selling it to the same amount of players, then it starts not to make business sense. So they were supposed to do something to scale up that whole thing with their production value or scale it down, but they were supposed to do something to sort of, which is what Nintendo, like Nintendo is the most sober-minded company in the world. They can see that gaming costs are going up. So they are saying we will address the cost of development. So Sony was supposed to do this. What you're saying is that nope, there's no ownership, there's no onus that they need to take in terms of just making bad decisions and spending too much money and cutting certain parts of the budget. They should keep doing what they're doing because I want to play $90 AAA games. That is, and you saying I'm cheap because I'm saying I don't want to pay that much so that I can play those games. I'm saying no, it's not that no one wants to play those games. I'm just saying if it's costing you that much and you're seeing that is a problem as a company, how is that an effective business strategy?
Matthew has a very good point here. It says Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and Expedition 33 proves that prices didn't need to go up. Y'all just need to manage your products better. Actual skill issue.
Man, the reason why these posts are so iffy is because all you need to do is like look. Sometimes just look at like the most like revenue driven, because people like to make it seem like, yo, look at these numbers. Let's follow these numbers. But then when you actually follow the real number says no, live service is the way to go.
Yes.
So it's like it's the same thing with like with Wukong, when they say focus on your consumer and stop going for all these other random audiences. Then Wukong does well, and then it's like, yeah, but Wukong is a Chinese game. Most people playing that Chinese. So if you want to focus on
what?
No.
Wait. What's the takeaway? Do the Chinese gamers not count?
If you're telling developers to focus on the consumer, aka you or the West, for example, what you're saying is that focus on make Fortnite, make Minecraft, and make these live service games that are doing really well. No, but that is it. If you're talking about numbers, then these are the numbers.
If you try to make another Fortnite, you'll end up like all the other ones that tried and failed.
No. I see what you're saying, yeah, but I'm just saying like these numbers, people like to pick and choose when it makes sense to them.
What's convenient?
Because right now, I can guarantee you right now, yeah, if Final Fantasy, or let's say if some Dragon Quest blew up with some anime looking characters, blew up in Japan, and it sold 20 million, none of these Western gamers are going to say, oh yeah, let's all do that art style, let's all go turn based. They're not going to say that. So they're picking and choosing when these numbers make sense to them. So when I see that statement, my first thing that comes to my mind is like, wait, isn't Shadows like one of like the best selling games, like dollar for dollar sales? But people don't want that game though. Isn't NBA 2K? Isn't freaking FIFA? Aren't all these live service games like the number one selling games even this year, dollar for dollar sales in terms of profit?
Year.
So are we saying that they should? Are we saying make more of these games? No, we're not saying that then, right? So let's not use these numbers and we can choose them when we want.
You know what, Kai? I'm gonna stop you right there. That would be great for the industry. We need someone else to have the NFL rights. We need someone else to have the FIFA rights. We need someone else to have all these other sports rights, NBA rights as well. Let these guys compete on product, because what happens with FIFA and Madden and NBA and whatever is that these companies, Take-Two, EA, etc., have all these rights, and they're the only ones. Going back to my example of charcoal, they're the only ones selling the charcoal. So even if it's shit, it's the only one that's there. Like my brothers and me used to still do bitch about FIFA every single year. But you know what happens when FIFA comes out? Everyone has bought FIFA. You'll see it on the Xbox thing, on the PlayStation. Everyone is playing FIFA because it's the only one that makes FIFA. So you know what? To your question, do we want other people to have the rights? Yes, we want other people to have the rights to FIFA, NBA, Madden, etc.
I would agree there, but let me close off this point so we can probably move on to something else. Is that when
Yeah.
Oshus was saying that this strategy is not great, the reason why I brought up the PS4 and PS3 is because it was Sony's push towards, at least one of the segments, towards AAA blockbuster games like The Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, Horizon Zero Dawn. It was
That was
these
at the
games.
end. Ty,
Yeah, no, at the end. But what I'm saying is that
it's
it's
the end of the
separated.
PS3 generation.
Yeah,
At the
PS3, yeah,
end.
PS4, PS3 to PS4. Yeah.
Yeah, don't say the PS3 because the PS3 was successful because of other games.
No. I'm not. Yeah, but
It wasn't
but
because
the
of the whole
Xbox One,
AAA
but the Xbox
cinema
One was,
bullshit.
but the Xbox One was neck and neck with it, right? I'm saying like
The
I'm looking at the
PS3,
pull away
the PS3.
and PS4. Sorry, PS3
No,
and
no,
Xbox One.
All I'm saying is,
no.
if you want to talk about PlayStation doing the pivot
Oh,
to
sorry,
cinematic,
no, Xbox 360. My bad. Yeah, Xbox
okay,
360, yeah.
Yes, the
all right.
360. Yes, 360. Well, like yeah. So you could definitely attribute to them shifting to making games like Uncharted 2 and
At the
3
end
and Last
of
of
the
Us.
gen.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the generation, yes, when it was all sort of like one and
The
done.
Last of Us.
But then again, we could also then point to the fact that the thing that kept the Xbox in there for the longest was them going Connect and releasing Connect Adventures and all these garbage games that that sort of just sold extra copies to to that audience. So it was literally everyone sort of throwing everything at the kitchen sink at that time, towards the end of that era.
Yeah, but my take here with the PS4 was that it was able to differentiate itself. I know this as someone who lives in Europe or whatever. I had an Xbox that when my friends are buying the PS4 and they're playing The Last of Us and all God of War and these games are taking over the zeitgeist in the industry, I had to capitulate and get a PS4 to play with them and to kind of check out these games. Sony had more compelling exclusives, but my point is these exclusives were the AAA blockbuster games, and it was Sony's we could probably all agree to this. It was their highest revenue games. God of War 20 million sales, Spider-Man 20 million sales, Horizon Zero Dawn 20 million plus sales,
Oh my god!
Ghost of Tsushima around 11 million plus sales. Like the
Fucking
games
Horizon.
that were the strategy or the games we're criticizing them for were the games that literally led them to this success, to this position where they are superior to Xbox. So to then
Ty,
turn around and say, well, it was a bad strategy. It's like how it
Ty, we
literally
need
led
to
them to
listen
winning
to them
the console war.
because we need to listen to them, Ty. You were saying what you're saying, right? It's all beautiful. 20 million copies, blah blah blah. It's all pretty. Why are they always bitching about the unsustainability of these said games, Ty? They're the ones saying it's not even us. We just open the websites, we see the quotes, and then we discuss. So who has more information? Is it me, you, and Oshus, or is it PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo? And they say, "Yo, we can't." I say we don't have the capacity. Who who knows what they're talking about? Who should we trust?
Here's a side question for you guys.
Answer the question, Ty.
Who should we trust? Them.
Now you can pivot. You can pivot
Listen,
wherever you want to go.
trust people with the data, bro. that's what that matters.
You
But
you can
just
pivot.
just a side one. If let's say Stellar Blade,
Yeah.
the same budget, they use the exact same budget to make Stellar Blade 2, Stellar Blade 3, Stellar Blade 4. Do you think you're gonna get some, significant difference? Do you think it's gonna feel the same, or are you expecting like, well, no, you should invest more money into Stellar Blade 2 for sure. Maybe hire more people, better writing, better sound effects, better combat, maybe multiplayer. Do you expect increases in this game, or do you expect more or less the exact same thing over and over again?
No, well, again, like I think that is very, very like sort of your question is very loaded in the sense that it's very circumstantial.
question is very
What do you
loaded.
mean that you expect?
I would
No,
say
what do you
I
mean?
would say I'm gonna answer your question, Ty. I'm gonna answer your question.
How much? Oh, go ahead.
If you're talking about graphics, because you're talking specifically about graphics, correct, Ty?
Yeah, graphics, music, more game modes, bigger bosses, all these things that might cost more to
What
make.
I would say is that all these game developers find a way, figure out a way, especially the ones that made it like a successful game, find a way to get people from Software to talk to you. Because if you can do what From Software did, you're good. It seems that like that's what Gunfire Games are doing with Remnant. The first Remnant was kind of rough, but we liked it because it was a new concept. The second Remnant, I still haven't finished it.
Wait. So did you say From Software?
From Software, my guy.
Yeah, but wait,
From
Elden Ring.
Software.
Elden Ring is the most expensive game they've ever made.
Yes. You're talking about Elden Ring. I'm not talking about Elden Ring. I'm talking about Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3. It's a crescendo, my brother. You don't blow the load in 2 minutes. You gotta lick a little, you gotta, do all types of stuff and grow it and then get to the climax. Grand Theft Auto, GTA 1, GTA 2, GTA London. It wasn't all boom as soon as you have just a little bit of success. Because From Software did have success with Demon Souls. It was unexpected. Sony even pushed back on Demon Souls and the difficulty. They pushed back. They had success with Demon Souls. You know what they did? They didn't go and make Dark Souls, but with like a gigantic, humongous budget. They made Dark Souls with just a little bit better. Dark Souls 2 just a little bit better as well. Dark Souls 3 just a little bit better. Even Elden Ring, they said it's their most expensive one. You know what? You look at that game, there's a shit ton of reused assets, animations, etc. They can say it was their most expensive one, but I bet you it wasn't crazy like the jump between Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2. I bet you that. What if Insomniac had made Spider-Man 1 with that chill budget that they were happy with the returns they got, Spider-Man 2 with another chill budget, Spider-Man 3 with another chill budget, and then on the PS6 they gave us the big bad Spider-Man and put a whole bunch of money in. What do you think is going to happen? They've built it up to the point where you got a whole lot of people losing their minds about the next Spider-Man. But you're going to sit here and be like, oh, we had a decent Spider-Man. Oh, okay, now let's make the biggest, most expensive, like top 10 most expensive games of all time. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are we doing, Ty? No lube, no nothing, bro. Just kiss and then bam. Come on.
All right.
So yes, it is possible. Follow From Software, follow Gunfire Games, follow motherfucking Rockstar. You don't go straight for the three-pointer. You pass the ball a bit. You dribble. You go through some screens. You take your time. You get a win, and then from that win, don't try and beat Thanos, bro. You get a win, you beat the next mini boss. That's the issue with this, the lack of financial planning here. Everyone wants to be GTA. GTA did not happen in 2 games or 3 games or even 4 games. It took like 15 fucking games. Just like weightlifting. No one looks like Arnold if you go to the gym every day for a year. That's not how it works. And these companies, now they have the right to just want everything from the get-go, or from after they did one decent thing. Now they have the right to do it. No, that's not how it works. Sorry, chat. G Baby is saying big pause. All right. My bad. I think it got a bit too hot and heavy over there. I know Oshus enjoyed that one, right? Right, Oshus? All right, let's finish the article. Cheaper than Uncharted. All right. Let's finish the article about Shaun Layden. Quote. Now, this is the part in the podcast where we all get embarrassed, and then we find out that everything we've been fighting and arguing about is bullshit. Sean Layden is actually an awesome guy, and he's very measured, and he didn't say anything. That's crazy. Let's see. Quote, I think it's because everyone's afraid. No one wants to be the first one to raise the price because you're afraid to lose traffic. So what you do is you just end up eating your own operating income, your profit margin. So far, we haven't been proven wrong. Quotes continue. There were more sports cars in the parking lot in the PS1 era than there were in the PS4 era. Because if you're selling 20 million units at $60 for something that only cost you $10 million to make, that's different than selling 20 million units at $60 for something that cost you $160 million to make. Again, so far, we haven't been proven wrong. He's trying to make it our fault that they are overspending. All right, buddy. All right. According to the article, Layden then said that games should be increased in price with every new generation, but that instead the industry's mantra has been, as long as we grow, even though we're not making money, somehow we can't die. What? Oh, let me read that again. According to the article, Layden then said that games should have increased in price with every new generation, but that instead the studio's mantra has been, as long as we grow, even though we're not making money, somehow we can't die. Guys, am I wrong, or is this some of the dumbest shit you ever heard?
I think it follows the typical capitalistic shareholder kind of mindset. I think there's a few things it's probably not articulating really well. But if you think about it, Netflix wasn't profitable for I think the first 7-6 years. Same thing for Amazon. Same thing for Spotify. So because if shareholders are seeing, they're like, oh, you know, okay, we spent 500 million, but you brought in 450 million. Well, that's not too bad. And then you kind of expect at some point to be turning a profit. So I think what he's saying is that we know the industry is growing. We know the PS4, PS5, Xbox One is doing well. We also know that like we found new ways to monetize these same users with microtransactions. I think was it like the first was it Bethesda when they released the first horse, or was it Diablo that was like $5 and then now everyone's spending it. I know people who've told me straight up that like they've spent over like 6K, 5K on these microtransactions. So, as long as shareholders are seeing, growth, revenue go up, they're happy to keep taking hits on losses. Even Game Pass, when Game Pass first probably launched, it was probably not profitable. But at some points, the more more people came in, more and more and more, you increase the price, and then it becomes profitable. So I think that's kind of what he's saying. The problem is the industry is kind of capped now in terms of console users. Okay, fine, we know exactly how many they are now, so there's no more growth. So now we need to do what every subscription service does, is find new ways to monetize that same user, or if we can't, go somewhere else to get that money, aka TV shows, movies, Steam, Epic, and of course Xbox Series X and S with Helldivers 2.
Yes. Ushers, anything you want to add to this dumbass quote? As long as we grow, even though we're not making money, somehow we can't die.
Yeah, I also think that it's like the whole infinite growth fallacy, which is such a stupid way to do business. Like, so again, dumb. Like, it is dumb. Like, I mean, like, this is why capitalism is like out of control generally, because you cannot, nothing grows infinitely. It's a dumb, like, to me, there's no logic behind why you want to build a business model like that versus going for sustainability. If most companies focused on sustainability, they would treat their franchises better. An example of that, a franchise like Halo would still be relevant because it wouldn't have been burnt out. If you go back to Activision and you look at like franchises like not Rock Band, what was it? Was it what was their rock? Guitar Hero. Guitar Hero would still be alive. What is it? Tony Hawk would still be fresh, but they just have this thing like once something is hot, just milk it to death. Like, and then just keep mining money out of it. And like, yeah, I feel that gaming needs a mentality or a mindset. If you want to be in business in 50 years from now, you need a mindset of sustainability. Is that like, so how do we create a sustainable economy in gaming? And that's something like even the likes of Phil Spencer have not addressed. Like his last letter was basically, we will keep that which that what was it? His last email to his staff was that, keep that which works, fuck everything else. If your franchise under our banner does not make us, or does not print money for us, we will destroy. We will kill it. It's useless. It's pointless to us. That's
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
what it is.
I
I don't understand that.
I agree with what Osha was talking about sustainability, but I feel like you load some of these statements with just other stuff that just isn't really true or
I
relevant.
do.
Like you do,
Yeah.
you do it so much. Like, god
Okay,
damn.
I'll be right back, guys. I'll be right back.
Sure. So to the chat, Oshos is a fraud. That's number one. Because
Okay.
he brings up like people not taking care of their franchise, and he brought up a very specific point. He brought up Guitar Hero, but and you could bring up FIFA, but like they all say like, yeah, but we're making money off FIFA, we're making money off NBA, but like if you look at other publishers, like even Ubisoft, for example, the Assassin's Creed games comes out like every 5 years. Look at Nintendo; they've milked Mario with Mario Kart, Mario Tennis, whatever it is, but the Mario games are still great. Zelda's a long-standing franchise. So when you say this statement, you just cherry pick the studios that do this and then
Okay.
have ran their franchises to the ground, but you don't look at the studios that actually like take a measured approach. But also, I feel like you conflate two different points, because I'm like, he's talking about this, we're not talking about something else. Because when we talk about sustainability, we talk about this idea of capitalism, that it's about infinite growth. My pushback here is that a company that is willing to take losses at the start will succeed more than a company that is trying to be sustainable.
Yeah,
Because if
yeah.
you think about it,
That's
yeah,
how it
because if you
works.
think about it, like Netflix, they weren't sustainable, but they knew we have a great idea here, and we need to get as many people on board into streaming as much as possible, and we need to get them into our content as much as possible. So we're going to take all these hits first to build up this huge fan base, so that when the big guys realize, Disney, Warner Brothers, Paramount, it's too late with all
Everyone
those
does that.
users. Everyone
Usher,
does that.
you
Like,
can't
but
disagree
my
with me.
point is, if Netflix turned around and said, "No, let's be sustainable, bro. Let's follow Usher's point of view," they wouldn't be here. They'll be
No,
gone.
they should be sustainable. Like after, I don't know, maybe 2 years, 5 years. I don't know. At some point, you need to stop and be like, now we need to be sustainable, like what Nintendo's doing.
Okay, so like I'm not talking about like a startup like when Netflix was when they were trying to grow. There's a difference. Like when you're trying to establish yourself, it's very different than when you're freaking Microsoft.
Yeah.
When you are one of the two biggest companies in the world, you're like a $1 trillion
Sony.
company, and you still want to grow significantly more. Like to me, that
But
just
but
becomes
but like, but my question would be that how did Sony get into the industry then? They had to be unsustainable. The PS1 was not a profit making machine.
Yeah, they were buying exclusives left
Yeah,
and right, just
and
buying
and
games.
and for Sega to compete, they had to be unsustainable just to compete, because Sony was being unsustainable, right? We
Yeah,
agree.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
you
yeah.
do have to do that at some
no,
point,
no, no.
because
But like so,
if you
like
try to do this profit margin situation that you're talking about in the offset, when you have a competitor that is willing to throw billions at
no.
their
Well,
product
okay.
and create value, then you're screwed.
Well, if you make a better product, then you don't have to worry. I mean, like
You
I
know,
think
but
Sony
you can
proved
make a
that.
better product, but if like, okay,
But I think Sony
which
proved
product
it
was
against
that?
Microsoft.
Sorry, what?
Like they just made a better product, and then Microsoft tanked eventually, regardless of how many billions they were throwing at it. Throwing billions at it is not the strategy. It's not what gets you over the line. And again, we can always go back to Xbox to prove that you can have all the money and you'll still suck and you'll still fail. It
God
doesn't,
damn.
but you will still quit regardless. So that's not the
Yeah,
strategy
but
here.
what happens to Sony if Peter Moore stays in charge of Xbox and he's given the billions? Is Sony still the same Sony then?
I guess we'll never know.
But you know the answer though. You know the answer though. You know
Come
it.
on, don't be disingenuous. Let's get back to the article. Layden said this way of thinking has now reached a crisis point because companies have now reached the stage where they have to sell many millions of copies to make back development costs again. My guy, Schedule 1, bro. It's not about cost. It's about creativity, vision, talent. Quote, the cost of construction is just way too high, he said. Uh-huh. One guy made Balatra. Tony Stark made this in a cave. all right. He said if you're going to spend over 200 million to build a game, the fuck are you spending 200 million to build a game? If you're not Grand Theft Auto or FIFA, Madden, and all these other, what are you doing? What are you doing? Your margins are super tight unless you can expect to sell 25 million units, unless you're Rockstar. This is what pisses me off. This pisses me off. So you're aware that only Rockstar can pull this off. But you sit there and you're like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. We don't have a recognizable brand like Rockstar, but you know what? Let's put 300 million into Spider-Man. Okay. He also noted that, quote, they've already been kind of moving the median price point up anyway, even if the base price hasn't been rising, thanks to the use of microtransactions and deluxe editions of games, the latter of which adds extra in-game content that has almost a zero cost to make. I'm getting triggered. Quote, they said, okay, what if we maintain the price, then we nickel and dime you with DLC, microtransactions, battle pass, season pass, whatever you want to call it, and try to make up the excess there, he explained. And that's the end of the quotes from Sean Layden. Baticus Prime, welcome in, brother. Welcome in. Have yourself a seat. Make sure to smash the like button. Ty, any thoughts? Any final thoughts after we've heard these last quotes from
Everything he's saying is accurate, but I think the problem is, I think you guys are taking what he's talking about or what he's saying, and you're attributing it towards the whole industry. Where I think what he's really trying to say is that the AAA blockbuster games, they're the ones, and he means the high tier ones like GTA, right? They can do this, but even the other lowish tier ones, like a Final Fantasy Rebirth 2, whenever it comes out, right? He's saying that, but he's trying to say that like the reason why these games can be $80 is because these games are AAA blockbuster games. Now, let's be very clear here. Square Enix doesn't only make AAA blockbuster games. So this idea that, well, every game needs to be capped off at this point, you say, no, that's bullshit. Because we saw in the Nintendo Direct, Square Enix is making a new IP that is 2D based. And Octopath Traveler is coming out as well. Even before that, if you want to look at some of Square Enix's games, there's a couple of them out there. Even Sega as well, right? But at some point, Sega might want to make a AAA big blockbuster game. The Sega Super game that we've heard about, right? That could be an €80 game. So he's saying that these publishers, they will have $80, they will have 70, they might have 60, they might have 50, they might have all these games. And the ones that cost $20 might be a huge seller. But we don't want Square Enix to only make games that cost $20. So whenever you say things like, well, Schedule 1, like, do we want the industry to be like Schedule 1? No.
What I want, Ty, I want 80% of the games in the industry to be like Schedule 1.
No way.
I want a proof of concept for gameplay first. Everyone gets into it. Everyone's in love. In 5 years, we get Schedule 2. And Schedule 2, I don't want Schedule 2 to look like The Last of Us. I want Schedule 2 to look like fucking GTA 4.
Yeah, but why?
Schedule 3, sustainability. If you care about people and people keeping their jobs, Ty, don't over-invest.
No, but you don't care.
What do you mean I don't care?
You're the one who says, fuck them, Des. You didn't care about me and my job. You didn't care about me and my payment. When things was going hard for me,
No,
you didn't give me a discount. So
I'm
we
talking
don't
about the
actually care.
people.
I'm
Hold on, I'm talking
happy.
about the people. Ty,
Yeah.
hold on. When I say if you care, I'm talking about the people that are always getting on these websites, crying, telling us that it's so hard, it's so terrible. The gamers are fleecing the companies and they're paying too little. If these people cared, if these people actually cared, they would they would make sustainable decisions. But they don't make sustainable decisions because they don't care. What they want is to make the most amount of money from their last investment. That's all they want. So when I said if you care, then you do something sustainable and you take it in phases. And we don't complain. You know why? Because of the examples that I gave you, Ty. There's many of these games that have been successful, many of these developers that have been successful by making one game that was well received, then the next game was incrementally better. It was not worlds apart from the previous one, just incrementally better to the point where people memed on Dark Souls fans when Dark Souls 2 came out and they were like, dude, that's the same game. When Dark Souls 3 came out, they were like, dude, that's the same game. They took the same game and iterated and gave value to the people that are into that game and made sustainable, safe profits. But if you sit there and you make Demon Souls and it's a unexpected hit, then the next one is like, no, the next one, right? The next one, now we're putting in uncharted levels of money into it. It's still going to make more money than Dark Souls was still going to make more money than Demon Souls because people were excited for it, but not enough people were aware of Demon Souls to justify a crazy investment into Dark Souls. So if you're reasonable about the increments in your sequels, you'll be fine. But if everything is supposed to turn into GTA and Fortnite and Call of Duty, you're fucked. And you're showing that you don't care about the people that you're putting in this position to be like, yeah, go and be GTA, go and be Elden Ring, go and be Dark Souls. Remnant, when they made Remnant, they took the template from Dark Souls, but they didn't sit there and say, we're not going to put in the same amount of money that Dark Souls put in. That's why it was so rough when it came out. Remnant from the Ashes was rough than a mother when it came out. But it had a nice loop, minimum investment. The people that are into Souls likes, which aren't many people, bought the shit out of Remnant. They were so happy they gave us a whole bunch of DLC. We bought the shit out of that as well. But when we bought the shit out of it, it wasn't 20 million. It wasn't 15. It wasn't even 10 million copies. But you know what? When they looked at how much they put into the game and how much we gave them, it was a huge dub. Remnant 2 is still not AAA level. It's still kind of rough. You can tell that this thing is not more than 50 million investment. But they're happy with the little fan base that they have and the little increment of people that are still buying and now people that are discovering the game, and they're going to have Remnant 3. But you're not going to have Spider-Man 3 the way things are going. You're definitely not going to have Concord, etc., etc. If you care, keep the scope reasonable. Focus on gameplay and keep the scope reasonable. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. It's not our fault. We're not sitting here saying we want to see everyone have hair like Ellie on The Last of Us. Don't nobody give a fuck about that. We don't care. Not enough of us care. Sorry for filibustering.
I forgive you, bro.
Yeah, sorry. I do complain about filibustering, but sometimes I get a bit heated. Fuzzy says I want ambitious games, and Fuzzy, everyone wants ambitious games. The industry cannot sustain 3 ambitious games every month. I personally cannot pay $100 I can't pay $300 every month. I can't do it. I don't know if you can, but there was an article I read today that said that most gamers spend less than $300 a year A year. So who's gonna buy all of these ambitious games? That's all I'm saying. Richie says make good 20-hour DLC. Alright. Alright. Oshus, make your final point on this whole game prices thing.
I mean, like I don't I don't understand why we're having a conversation of either or here. Like I agree with Tai. Like fuck that shit. No one wants to have just what is it like Schedule Two as a game every freaking. It was
Schedule
gonna
one. Schedule one.
like, that'll kill the industry, dude. Like that's just there's a market for those games, and even those games like there's I was watching something by Matty Plays, and he was just explaining like the misconceptions about like smaller games and how everyone still wants a hit even within that industry. They want something
Yes.
that's going to connect and that's going to cost less, and that they're going to make something that's a follow up to that is just going to be as inexpensive to make so that they can make more money. So it doesn't like the you making bigger games doesn't change the fact that you still need to be profitable. You still need to manage, or you still need to run a sensible business. What I'm saying is that you don't need an either or. Like we used to have a situation where we had a balance. You could get a Metal Gear Solid 2, which was probably in the upper echelon of the most expensive PS2 games you could get.
Yes.
But
Yes.
you could still get a Papa Rapper the Rapper or Mama Jamalami game that will still sell very well, but that is a very entry level game from the same studio, mind you. You still had games like Ape Escape. So you had like a trajectory, a whole sort of like, you know, kaleidoscope of the sort of games that you could make. You don't need to just have one type of game. And the question I'll ask is how many, if you look at Sony's current situation, how many of those double A or smaller games are they actually focusing on making? Almost none. I
I believe
actually
that.
applaud Microsoft for if that's one thing that Xbox has been doing. Xbox has games like Pentiment. They have games like Grounded and Grounded 2 and smaller games that they are cultivating. And to me, that is the secret is have a good balance where you have smaller games to way bigger games, higher budget games that do all the stuff that Taya wants to have. But you can still have a game like Schedule 1 or Schedule 2 or whatever that's similar to like a Pentiment. That is to me a healthy business. It doesn't need to be an either or situation.
I'm saying you need to have majority be Schedule ones because you can sustain losses on, like, if you have 10 games, if 8 of them are Schedule 1 type games, you can have a situation where 5 of them fail, 3 of them hit, and then your 2 big hitters are successful. I think you can survive and do well with a business model like that. What you can't do is have 10 games, 8 of them are $100 million games. That's not going to end well. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like for me, no, I'm very like I think Schedule One is just maybe a bad example. Like I think it's a shit example, to be honest.
Remnant, fine, Remnant. Yeah.
I mean, I'll give you an example. I think Club Obscure is a good example, right? I think The Alters is a good example.
Yeah,
I think Sea of Stars is a good example. I think there
Yes.
are games out there that would actually cater to us. That's a good example. When I see Schedule One games, I'm thinking like, what's I just walk around selling this and that, and like
No, when I'm talking
seems
about Schedule 1, I'm talking about smaller, more reasonable scopes.
smaller
That's
scale
why
games. Oh, yeah.
that's why we came up with all those other examples. I said yes because
Mhm.
they fit the Schedule 1 mold.
Yeah, no. I think the thing here is that I think there's like two discussions really here. There's a consumer perspective and there's this business perspective, right? So I'll say, as a consumer, I think we all should be happy with the way things are, because the way things are, we can get a Schedule One, we can get The Alters, we can get Club Obscure, we can get Metaphor, we can get GTA, Split Fiction, and all these games from different categories: single A, double A, triple A games. So as a consumer, this is the best situation for us, especially because these games can go on sale. So the games are too expensive, we can purchase them in the end, right? Now, from a
Yeah.
business perspective, I think what's happened here is everyone expected the industry to keep growing and growing and growing. Now, eventually, these developers, sorry, not developers, these investors realize that that isn't the case. So now they're pulling back their money and everyone's, retracting or making a correction. For the fix is what you said, which is be more cautious with your spending, which is already happening. Games aren't being greenlit as much as they were before. And the
Yes.
next part here is also what we probably don't like is increase the cost of games when it makes sense. So when Nintendo says, "Yeah, Mario Kart is the most expensive Mario Kart game we've made," yes, that makes sense. When Nintendo tells me that, hey, the new the new Legend of Zelda game is going to be twice as expensive, yeah, it makes sense. That's going to cost $80, $90. So just be smart with how you increase the price of games. Outer Worlds 2 should not have been $80. We cannot agree
No.
there. However, we
It
all
should have
could
been
probably
50, bro. It
Yeah,
should have been
well,
50.
there you go. But we all could probably say Call of Duty could probably get away with it. Battlefield could have
Yes.
gone away with it, and GTA and all those kind of games. So the games
Yes.
that that's my point. The games that are AAA blockbuster games that developers feel like there is content here, those games can get away with it. A clear obscure game, no matter how good it is, I can
No
promise
matter.
you, no one's gonna buy that
Yeah.
game for $80.
If
Like
it
it's
was
just not gonna
70
be
day
much.
one, it would have had less players than
Exactly, yeah.
Game. That's true.
Exactly. So I think we're having a consumer discussion here and a business discussion. But I think the business discussion, I think, what Layden's kind of saying is that the cost of games have increased. So the price needs to kind of go up already. However, anyone who wants to be $80 or so, you just need to be smart about it. And if you put your game at $80, like Microsoft learns probably the hard way, you put your game at $80 and it doesn't feel like it's worth $80, no one's gonna buy it. That's just what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
you can say, "Oh, this is worth $80." All right.
Yeah, so I actually think we're all kind of in agreement. I think we're actually in agreement here.
I
more
think
or
we're in
less.
agreement.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't think
I
there's
think we're
no
in
disagreement.
agreement. Timmy, welcome in, Timmy. Guys, smash the like button. We really do appreciate you guys coming through and supporting TSWS Gaming. We really do appreciate that. Sergeant Sentinel says Sean Layden is full of bad takes. Thank God he's gone. But PlayStation still has a long way to return to great. Sergeant Sentinel, I was with you until that last part. PlayStation has a long way to return to greatness. Sir, PlayStation is the third biggest gaming platform in the world, right after PC and Nintendo. That's pretty great. That's pretty great in my opinion. Fuzzy says I wouldn't say that Schedule 1 devs are doing better than Sony. They literally are, Fuzzy. Says we've had like 10 game of the year contenders, AA games the past few years. Bro, game of the year, nets Sony, exactly $0 per nomination. We're talking about sales, right? Because Sean Layden is also talking about sales. We're talking about specifically sales. And to be more specific, we're not just talking about sales, we're talking about sales versus investment. Schedule 1 was made by like one dev. Like the amount of money he put in versus what he's taken out, I think it's had like 15 million sales or something. Come on.
I think
Come
Schedule
on.
1 is like it's an example of it's a very niche example of a game that comes out and does amazing well for the dev, right? And this happens a lot. There'll be one game that's gonna blow up, right? For example, do you guys remember, things like
Oh my
Crazy
God,
Frog or
125 million in revenue. God, that guy is sorted. Like he is sorted. Sorry,
Yeah.
Ty. I'm sorry for cutting you. He is done. Like just done. Financially. Fuck. You finish your thought. God
Yeah,
damn,
no,
bro.
it's just that like I remember the game. Remember Happy Bird for the mobile phone? How that game made
Woo.
a shitload of money as well.
Angry Bird, not Happy Bird. Angry
Oh,
Bird.
sorry, Angry Birds. So
Yeah.
there's this kind of games that like they might do well, they might appeal. Like, listen, Roblox is out there. I ain't touching anything to do with Roblox or Minecraft.
That's
So I think we also need to be careful about these games that do really
Roblox is
well.
disgusting.
Because the truth is, like, they're doing really well, but like, I don't know, are they really for like us? And I don't even mean like, people who are playing Schedule 1 are not hardcore gamers or whatever, but they might not be my specific kind of gamer, right? So for example, I haven't played that game. Look, you haven't played the game. Oshush, you haven't played the game either. So I don't really want people to be looking at
Which game are we
Schedule 1,
talking
man.
about?
Schedule 1.
Oh, You know what? It is in my backlog. I want to
Yeah,
play it.
like, but see, it ain't your interest. So but ask you right now, what game are
No,
you playing now?
but the point is, Ty, it's not. It's this topic that Son Layden has brought up is not about me, you, and Oshus, because like we've said, like we've reiterated several times during the show, there's certain positions me and you and Oshus feel, right, that we would not engage in financially. But if we look at other people, they'll buy FIFA every single year, right? They'll buy Madden every single year. Neither one of us is going to do that. So what's the point that you're trying to make here, brother? It doesn't matter if we are not into it. The point is, right, make games at a smaller scope, at a reasonable scope, right? Especially when you don't have a track record of people buying this specific IP, and then grow it. Who is this? Dorian Gray brought up Valheim. Exactly. Valheim, 3 or 4 years ago, one guy made Valheim, sold 7 million copies at $20 a pop. Peak that is killing it right now is also another like minimalist development game that's making crazy sales. What is it? $15, $20, $30? Nice and cheap. Dude, that's what 80% of the industry needs to be, in my opinion. This business of $80, $70, I'm not saying stop all of it. I'm saying that needs to be reserved for the creme de la creme. Otherwise, we're going to keep on seeing these studios laying off devs, and we're going to keep on seeing people like Sean Layden and Phil Spencer complaining about game prices. Fuzzy says, I might buy Madden again this year. Got sucked in by the 10-hour Game Pass trial. I'm telling you, man, Game Pass is a trap. Game Pass is a trap. Anyone that thinks you're saving money with Game Pass, all right, tap. Unless you're Oshus. Oshus is the only cycle that I know who can sample Game Pass games, not buy nothing, and be okay. Some of us, we get in.
Yeah, that's because
That's because what?
I buy all my games on Steam, bro.
Okay. So you still okay? Game Pass is
Steam
still a
and
gate.
Epic.
It's still a gateway drug, right?
Uh-huh. Well, I mean,
Game
like the
Pass.
thing is, like, I said the same thing to Ty that, like, we bought Game Pass when, like, when Game Pass first came out. We subscribed to it when we were still
27.
buying.
I thought it was a scam. I thought it was a temporary scam. I won't lie, but I paid for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like we so like the thing is, once you've gotten into the habit of supporting games or buying games, you will always. I'll actually go as far as saying I'm more addicted to buying games because I've had a PC now for about a year and a half, and I've already got over. It's almost 200 games. I've got 190. Well, actually, I do have over 200 games. I've got 180 games just on Epic Games Store. And then I've got another 50 or so games. Sorry, not on Epic, on Steam. I've got about 180, and I've got another 40 games already on the Epic Game Store. So it's one of those things. If you buy games, you buy games. You always support games. Game Pass is not going to change that for you. It's for people that maybe just have a casual relationship with games. Those are people that it's like a gateway drug for them.
Yeah.
Just an additional point, not like a conversation per se, but if you were to look up like percentages of games being made per platform, aka indie games, AA games, AAA games, for Steam and PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, AAA games only accounts to like 5 to 10% of the kind of games that are released on those platforms. So 90% of the games are actually already like in the AA, single A digit. So I guess my point with that statement is when we have these discussions about the AAA industry, especially when we talk about PC is even worse. PC is primarily just indie and AA, like it's primarily just indie. So we have these discussions and we say like, oh, we need to reduce it. What we're actually saying is like, oh, we want AAA games percentages to go from 3% to 1%. I think
no, to 0.5%.
To 0.5%. But I like okay, I wouldn't even like push back on that. I'm just kind of saying that like it's already in a small percentage number. But because we're so invested in that particular segment, and that's primarily what we play, we think that it consumes the whole industry when it really doesn't. It's a very, very small percentage.
I don't think it consumes the whole industry. I just think there's too many of them. And it's not me saying it. It's them.
No, but you see, but my point here would be like the consumers already decided, because the fact that most Steam games are like 90% shows that the consumers are already preferring indie AA games. Same thing for Xbox, same thing for PlayStation 5. Like Rematch is a AA game. Split Fiction. These are like high end AA games. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Like these games were always doing okay. Remnants, you mentioned as well.
Yes.
These games were always
Yes.
selling well. You know what I mean? So for some reason, we look at maybe a Concord. Or,
It's not about some reason, brother. We are addressing Sean Layden and his buddies complaining that we ain't spending enough, brother.
in that aspect, yeah. But I would say that
We're responding directly to that. It's not that I'm sitting at home and I'm upset and I'm like, there's too many AAA games. No, it's that Sean Layden and his buddies are complaining, and we're just sitting here telling them like, this is why you have a problem, brother. That's all it is, brother. That's all it is.
I get that. What the hell is that picture?
What are we doing, Ushers? What are we doing? What the fuck are we doing? What is that?
Okay.
Oh my god. I don't even listen. We're so off topic at this point. Raichi, thank you so much for bringing up that point. Raichi says my game of the year last year was Unicorn Overload. It sold only 1 million and it was successful. And if you look at Unicorn Overload, you can see that yes, this thing, they did not spend $1 bajillion on it. And it's like, bro, just keep doing more of that. Stop trying to drown us in AAA. Because what happens is, Kazan came out, I bought it day one because Souls Likes is my thing. I bought MGS because MGS is my thing. But there's a whole bunch of other AAA that I looked at and I was like, you know what? I'll see you when I see you, bro. And it's not just me that had that same vision. It's a lot of people that sat there tired and they were like, you know what? I'll see you when I see you. And these companies, as much as you might say we can have our cake and eat it too, these companies don't feel that way. They don't feel that selling their game 3 months later, 1 year later, 2 years later is good enough. They need to sell more day one at an inflated price. And that's not me saying it. The article's right there. All the other articles we've been reading every few weeks when someone comes out to parade around us that, poor AAA gaming publishers. Come on, bro. It's not us. It's them, brother. We're not the ones here. We're just coming up with solutions and thoughts about why they're struggling. But we're not the ones who are bothered by how many they are. We just look and we're like, okay, I'm not going to buy this now. I'll buy when it's $20. Fuzzy says 18,000 games released on Steam last year. Way less than 180 of them were AAA. Fuzzy, what I'm saying is that there are 12 months. There's 12 months in a year. Let's say there was 100 AAA games in a year. There aren't enough players to buy enough copies of each of those 100 AAA games at $70, $80, $90, $100 a pop for them to not be struggling like Sean Layden and all the other execs before him are saying right now. Have I made myself clear? Is that clear, Ty?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, let me be generous. Let's say 100 AAA games came out, bro. Who's buying all of this? No one. No one's buying it. That's why they're shutting down studios left and right. There's not even close to 100 AAA games released in a year. I need you to pick a number, Fuzzy. That's what I need you to do. I need you to pick a number, brother.
I think what Fuzzy is trying to say is that
Uh,
when we
uh,
have this discussion and we talk about AAA games and hey, we need more AA and indie, he's basically kind of saying like we already have thousands of AA and indie. This is why when Blessing said it's like I think a few years ago they're like, oh, I want cheaper games, I want games that do this, and I'm thinking like go play them. There's thousands of them already. Like why are we advocating for less games? Why would I advocate for Clear Obscure 2 to have less of a budget or to maintain I want it to be bigger and better. I don't mean bigger like open world game, but I want them to
yeah,
improve the graphics. I want them to improve certain things. I want them to invest more money in the game. I want it to be obviously reasonable about it, right? So the ones who are not reasonable, then yeah, you get cut off. But I want them to invest more. I want GTA to be a billion. I want the next
yes,
Naughty Dog game to have an extra 50 million because I want better graphics, I want better gameplay, I want all this, I want better acting, I want motion capture. When Larian Studios made Divinity Original Sin 2 and they released it, they weren't happy with what they had with the voice acting, so they went back and they leveled it up. And then with Baldur's Gate 3, they said, yo, give us more money, we want to make something special, we don't want to scale up slowly, we want to make a big AAA blockbuster game. And they did, and I'm happy they did. Same thing for CD Projekt Red to some extent, right? I'm happy that these developers are willing to take money and make these games. Now, the only people who suffer this really are the shareholders because they're the ones invest. It ain't my money, it ain't your money. So when the game flops because it doesn't make as much as they
and
expected,
developers,
I mean, well, they're the ones who get screwed over, right?
and
Not us.
developers, not just it's not just
No,
shareholders.
you're right. The developers do, but I think the because we're in an industry that is really artistic, you're gonna have developers who want more money, and they might be willing to take that risk.
Yeah,
That's just what it is. And Lyran Studios probably told Tencent and whoever they're like, "Hey, listen, we don't know how a AAA blockbuster game, CRPG game is gonna be like." Especially with voice acting and motion capture, this ain't a live service game. But I want you to take that risk on us, and I want you to give us a 7-year development cycle, and
yeah,
we'll see what happens. Now, other studios can try this and they'll fail, but there's only one that does succeed. And what I'm saying is like, I want them to keep trying this. I don't want all of them to be all
that's
conservative
fine.
with the
That's
prices.
fine.
Well, I'm just
That's
telling you
fine.
what I think Fuzzy's trying to say.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, I'm not sitting here saying I'm not waking up every morning saying, I wish there was less AAA games. That's not what I'm saying. I'm sitting here looking at a news article of someone, right, that is in the know saying, y'all aren't buying enough of these games. So we need to increase the price. That's what he's saying. We read it in the article. The price should have been keeping on increasing because we keep spending, right, making more of these games, and we're not getting the return on investment. And all I'm doing as a good Samaritan that I am is providing the solution. The solution is less of these games. You know why? Because the amount of people buying the games is not going up. We saw this in the FTC trial. We're tired of talking about this. Console gaming has hit a peak. PC gaming is people like Oshus that want to buy it on the cheap. So it's like, bro, one is going to have to give. And you know what's happening? It's already giving. Don't be mad at me. I'm just looking at what's happening. I'm not telling people don't buy these games. People are just not buying the games. The studios are just shutting down. You just keep hearing about, oh, Sega is not selling. Oh, Square Enix is not selling. Oh, Insomniac's Spider-Man is not selling. Alan Wake 2 took 2 years to break even. I'm not causing this. I'm just reading the tea leaves. Fuzzy says you're just reading propaganda to try and get us to accept more expensive games. I am the one who wants to get you to accept more expensive game. Fuzzy, I think you're talking to Ty.
This little
Right?
guy's a fraud, man.
I think you're talking to Ty because I didn't say we should have more expensive games.
These
Ty
guys
is
want low quality games but more expensive. One schedule want to be like $40 or something.
that's not Ty. Now you're putting words in my mouth. What I'm saying is, I want what you want, Ty. I want more of these games. I want more of GTAs and whatever. I want more of that. All I'm saying is, if we're
Nah,
sitting here,
you're a
looking,
double A shill, bro.
if we're sitting here, listen, if we're sitting here and looking at these guys all the time talking about they hurting, right? The pockets. I'm just giving the solution to stop hurting. That's all I'm doing.
Okay.
Can you disagree that if we start having one or two, if you start having one AAA $70, $80 game a month on a regular basis, do you disagree that would have less studios shutting down? Would have less situations of a big game came out with a big marketing budget, big development budget, no one bought it, no
I
one
agree.
played it.
No, I
That's all
agree.
I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Fuzzy says Sega and Square News was just clickbait BS. They didn't have any major releases. I meant the propaganda was trying to convince us, not you. Oh, yes. Yes, Fuzzy. I'm with you. This propaganda is trying to convince us. Hell yeah. That's why I'm calling it out. That's why I'm saying it's not just Sean. It's not just Sean. When Sean did this interview, all his buddies or all the other big publishers were well aware this was coming out, and they were like, "Yeah, dude, it's your turn. Go, go, go."
You see this thing that Dorange is saying, which is says like, too bad their budgets are not our problem. It's like I really strongly agree with that statement, but at the same time, I feel like there's almost like a disconnect between, like, I almost think about it this way. Imagine we're in the PS2 era. And
Yeah.
then Sean Layden says, "Oh, sorry, Sony and Xbox and Nintendo says, oh, by the way, we're moving towards the PS3 era, which is you're gonna see this crazy significant jump in graphics, whatever it is, yeah. So the games ain't
Yeah.
gonna be 60 no more; they're gonna be 70. Like, I'm just wondering, like, who says no, keep making PS2 looking games? I don't want the PS3 like looking games. Like, what are we talking about here? I want the PS3 looking games. I want the Assassin's Creed to look amazing. I want all these. I want Metal Gear Solid. I remember when I first saw the Metal Gear Solid game, like the open world, whatever it was, which game it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, this game looks sick. Why would I want the PS2 blocky version instead? Like, so I'm willing to take the hit of the extra $20 or whatever it is to get an amazing experience. Like, so I just always find this discussion, it's like people are like,
But back then, time maybe things were different in Europe. Oshus, please confirm if they were different in South Africa, because I lived in Zimbabwe back then when MGS2 came out on the PS2. Back then, you had reasonable pricing. You had, yes, MGS2 is $100, but then Colin McRae Rally was $30. You know what I mean?
Oh
A
yeah,
whole
like
bunch of, you had a whole bunch of games that were just $30. Good games. They were just $30.
there was no discussion about like pricing back then. Like, for instance, if you go back to the N64 era, everything on the N64 was expensive, right?
yeah, so prices.
Whereas PlayStation, well, no, because the fact that like making cartridges was expensive, so you could understand the logic behind to why.
No, but the consumer doesn't understand that logic.
Sorry,
The consumer doesn't understand that logic.
well, they don't understand that logic, but that was the law of the land.
No, but my point is, like, it's like saying, like, well, the reason why the games were more expensive with the N64 was because of cartridges, and then you say, well, the reason why the games are expensive now is because of cost of development. It's like, no, I'm going to ignore that part. Do you see?
No,
It's
but
like, I'm going to pick and choose when it makes sense.
Can I make my point first?
Man, your point sucks, bro.
I haven't even made it. Like, it's weird. It's weird that it sucks, but I haven't even made it. But okay, thank you.
I make your point.
Thank you, Oracle, for seeing to the future and seeing that my point sucks. But I'll still make it anyway. So my point was that, like, like you have to like look at like pricing back in the PS1 era, like, and the N64 era. It was very much based on the type of game you were making. PS2 games varied from, I think it was at the time $39 to the most expensive ones being $49, which was like the super AAA ones that took all that much to develop. And like you did have cheaper ones that came in at about $19.99, like games from like 3DO and all these guys that made like these bargain bin games. they priced them like at a very, very nice entry. So actually, the Spectrum was anything between 19.99 up until $49 if you're buying like a Square Enix or Square game back then. And N64 games all started, cheapest that you could get was something like 49. Average game was like $59 $60 back then. But it made sense as to why those games cost like that, and nobody complained. It was never a discussion in the market as to like games are getting more expensive for this and that. In fact, this entire conversation only started, I believe, I think within the Xbox One era, because even during the 360 and the PS3 era, this was not a conversation.
Yeah,
Of
it
games
was
getting
still reasonable. I still remember buying game.
um,
Yeah, by the 360, I was already living in South Africa. I remember buying mid-tier games, and they were all very reasonable prices day one on Xbox and PS3. For some reason, everyone decided that they now are the new hotness, and then everything is now $60, and I was like, what? What's going on? It's so jarring. The Xbox One gen and the PS4 gen was very jarring. Everyone is super confident and is feeling their oats as far as developers are concerned. And you know what? Games like Schedule 1, Expedition 33, even Mafia the Old Country just came out $50. Those games are going to keep on pegging people down. They're going to keep showing people that, oh, okay, you think you're hot shit. All right, go ahead and sell 50,000 copies. I'll sit here and sell 5 million copies. That's the way. That's the way. Anyways, that's the show. Thank you to everyone for coming through. Thank you to the comment section. Y'all are awesome. Y'all are awesome. If you haven't smashed the like button, please do on the way out. We really do need all the exposure we can get on our way to 2,000 subscribers on TSWS Gaming. Oshus, please plug your channel, tell people where they can find you, etc., etc. You're muted. We cannot hear you, Oshas.
I'll take over. You can find me at Taye Talks, TayeTalks. Nothing's popping. I'm taking my time playing The Altars and another gacha game called
Double A game.
Double A game, whichever you want to call it. These are the
Me
games.
And Oshus are shills. Me and Oshus are shills.
Double A
but
shills.
You'll
right
play
there.
the Double A game. Go ahead.
Especially look is the worst. Schedule 1 shill. Like that game looks like, oh man. Can you imagine if the industry follows Schedule 1's like freaking footsteps? I would have the industry follow Minecraft's footsteps and freaking Schedule freaking 1, bro. Like damn. Like motherfuckers are talking about like Battlefield looking amazing, EA's most expensive game, everyone's happy about it. You talking about Schedule 1?
Yes, Schedule 1.
You're talking about GTA 1 billion
yes.
to make? You talk about Schedule 1?
Yes.
Man. Anyways, yeah, Taye Talks, TayeTalks.
This guy.
That's it.
This guy must end on a fucking rant. Oshus, is your mic? All right. Tell us where we can find you, what you're up to, and also tell us what the hell is behind you there, because I don't understand what's going on.
That's my buddy Phil, and my other buddy is it what's her name, Sarah, with an export. Can you see the export there?
Why is he white? Why is he white?
What is he supposed to be?
Why is he not black? Why is
he supposed to be black?
Hey, you're South African. You're the president of the Xbox Federation in South Africa.
I quit. I told you I quit. I left that group. I'm no longer part of that group.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, you can find me on Twitter. It's Oshus07 or Oz the Wiz, and of course on YouTube as well. It's Oz the Wiz, also Oshus07. And currently nothing's up. I've just not gotten to anything yet. But yeah, I'll let you guys know what happens. Yeah,
just going ahead and being a fraud. He left the Xbox group so he could stop stabbing them in the back. Now he stabs them in the front. Anyways, thank you to everyone.
I'm honest. I'm a genuine guy.
You're honest So it's
Yeah, I'm a
okay.
genuine guy. Huh?
Like, look
You're
at
a
this
genuine
Doritos guy.
hater.
Like, what,
I stand by what I say.
Man. Dude's
Alright.
like, Ty cares about how a game looks. It's like, yeah, I want GTA to look like what I saw in the trailer. I don't want GTA to look like Schedule 1, bro. Like, you and Loke might like that kind of game for GTA, but I ain't playing. Listen, if GTA looks like Schedule 1, I ain't there. Like, I'm going
Why am
somewhere
I
else.
catching strays? Why am I catching strays?
You know, like,
Why? Why am
GTA
I
is,
catching-
yeah, listen, you can play Schedule 1. Listen, you know what? The Schedule 1 guy is probably going to make a GTA like clone. And then you guys can buy that instead of GTA. I'll be there playing GTA with the hot Latina and the other dude, whatever, having a great fucking time with this amazing game. And y'all can play Schedule 1 Vice City version. How about that?
Jesus, we crashing out.
Oh, and you pay for like fucking $7. Woo! You know, like, because y'all like your cheap games, right? Man,
Yeah,
what are we
but like that
talking
game
about?
that game takes 15 years to make, dude. It makes sense why it cost $1 billion. Like you want us to buy like dodgy, shitty 6 out of 10 games that cost hundreds of millions, or according to these guys, cost
What
hundreds of
dodgy
millions.
6 out of 10 games?
Ubisoft level games. That's what you want us to buy for.
You think
Right,
Shadows
clearly
is
the show is not going to
flop?
end now. Clearly the show is not going to end now. So let me do the sponsor. Let me do the sponsor thing. Then we can carry on the show. We can continue the show talking about fucking GTA and crashing out with the chat. God damn it, Ty. You're supposed to be the reasonable guy here. Anyway, listen up, everyone. If your energy levels are dropping, we've got something to resurrect you. It's called Poggers Energy. Let me pull up the screen. Bam! Bam! It's called Poggers Energy. And yeah, the sour cream, the sour